Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Duggan under pressure and sacked. Terrell Bernard. Boy, he's come up with some big plays and made a big sack there.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Hero with 7 to shoot. Hero, long three-pointer. Bang! Tyler Hero from way downtown.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Right to the slot, and it's a score! Dallas connects first. 5:40 into the first. It's Joel Hanley moving in from his defensive position.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. Sikkim 365 Radio. Paul Catalina, David Smoke, Craig Smoke to my left and to my right. Also, Armstrong Sims is here, running the mothership. This hour brought to you by Waco Custom Marketplace. And, oh, by the way, Brian Etheridge, I don't know if you guys saw this yet again, with these pictures of the food, of the product that he gets. This is, Paul, that would be fajita meat. It looks like a skirt steak.
Yeah, it looks like that. And
that looks like a
burger or something?
Burger or even a ribeye. One of the two is that good looking. And then on top of that, the next picture that he sent us is looks like maybe that actually looks like it might be some pork loin or a beef loin, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Very nice. Brian Etheridge is our cook. He is our Bobby Flay, and does an incredible job with Waco Custom Marketplace and helping them and letting everybody know what's going on. So I have some sort of new update. Remember the story from September the 11th. Tommy Witherspoon in the Waco Tribune-Herald. Tommy does a great job of reporting many things legal with the Waco Trib, but the story was about a judge who owned an apartment complex, and Bravion Roy, along with I think 4 or 5 players that were active, there were claims of, tearing the place up. And so I just spoke to Tim Younger, who represents Bravion Roy, and he has all of those claims against not only Bravion Roy, but also the claims against any of the current players about money that was owed or any damages have been resolved and amicably done. It's over. Everything's been taken care of, and I say that in a way where you might perk your ears up. The players have taken care of what they needed to, and Bravion Roy did not even know. He had been out for 6 months, had left that apartment 6 months prior, and did not even know that there were damages. And so obviously he's taken care of what he needed to, and everybody seems to be happy.
And I bet he was pretty pissed. I mean, like, to say the least, when he found out about that. And I'm sure that that's a conversation that he had to have with, his former teammates about whatever occurred. I mean, whatever it was, that newspaper article wasn't a good look. It wasn't the end of the world either, but it certainly wasn't a good look. And, I think we've all been in college apartments, and you don't treat it the best always and things like that. But the level to which it was described, it was a little bit too much. So hopefully a lot of lessons learned. Hopefully everything that needs to be taken care of has been taken care of. It sounds like it has. And, the financial factor was the one in the article that was really being pointed to. Was like, it was basically like, hey, if I get my money, this, will be over and done with. And so I guess they came up with the past rent or whatever the case may be, and that's a good thing to get done and over with. It's a good thing to get done and over with. You don't want to have to continue to worry about something like that, but that's great news.
Here's one of the, this was something that was sent to Bravion. Bravion, regarding the matter of the tenancy, all outstanding issues are resolved to the satisfaction of everyone concerned. Mr. Roy learned of the dispute through the article and had been unaware of any open items with the lessor. He effectively had moved out of the property in January 2020 in order to prepare for the NFL draft and ensure that his rent had been fully paid. However, upon being apprised of the situation through the article, he, along with his roommates, promptly addressed the matter and wishes Judge Harris the very best moving forward. All claims have been resolved.
Yeah, I wonder, I guess what happened with Judge Harris, that he got mad about this, that he had to go public with it, but I don't know. It seems like it was a story that should have been that could get resolved really quickly once you get everybody involved. Like you said, Bravion didn't even know about it, right?
That's what I didn't understand. Was it was so. I was like, he wouldn't even have been there. Like that never even made sense to me. But he's obviously the biggest name.
Yep. I don't know what this is getting to be an every. There you go, Craig. Take that one right there. All right. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, David Smoke, Armstrong Sims in the mothership. I even brought you a Dr. Pepper, young man. I listen.
That was very kind.
I normally wear a bunch of Diet Coke and all that kind of thing, but I did bring that to you as well. Craig, anything? This is kind of not that it's a slow day. I watched last night's NBA. The Miami Heat now up 3-1 against Boston. Who is this hero guy from Kentucky that went nuts last night with 30-plus points? He's 20 years old and may have just won the series for Miami.
You tell me. I mean, I'm not Mr. Big NBA guy, but no, I'm kind of learning about various players and things along the way. But yeah, that was a nice win for Miami. Miami's been a great story this year. They have not gotten the attention necessarily up until this point that a lot of other teams have received. Obviously, tonight a lot of the attention will be on the Lakers to see if they can get one step closer to going ahead and booking their trip to the finals, and LeBron can get back there. But yeah, Tyler Hero was amazing last night, and they've got something cooking there in Miami. I don't know if they're good enough to beat a team like LA ultimately, and I don't really see Denver, being able to win 3 games they wouldn't have to win 3 games in a row, but winning 3 out of the next 5, I don't really see that. But yeah, that was a great performance, and the Heat they're a really good team.
Jimmy Butler, in the last 2 to 3 years, has taken some darts, has taken on some shrapnel. I covered him when he was at Tyler Junior College. He would not remember me from the carpet or the whatever you have here, the shades in the room. Maybe he would, because he was very, very good, and I enjoyed covering him when he was at TJC. But it kind of seemed like he got a little bit of a rap for being a malcontent or being a little bit hard to deal with. He is on the verge of leading the Heat, because he's done big 3 last night at the right time, along with what Hero did. But Jimmy Butler's the one that's taken this team on his back and done a great job. He seemed like in Philadelphia, among elsewhere, he took a little bit of, he's kind of, what's going on with Jimmy Butler. I love it. I never thought of him as going to be a guy that was a problem, but you never know sometimes when they get a bunch of the money, the attention, or whatever else involved. It seems like to me, with everything else going on, and by the way, Tampa Bay just took the doors off of the Stars last night. That was never close.
The Stars do not play tonight, by the way. The Stars do not play tonight.
I was going to ask that question.
No, but they kind of got whooped up on last night, so they're in a little bit of a hole now all of a sudden. And Tampa Bay, we knew going in they were a very, very good team, and could be a team that matched up pretty well with Dallas, or could give them some problems. And after that first win for Dallas, it's been Tampa Bay since then. So, they're going to have to regroup. Obviously, a situation at goalie they're going to have to, figure out and get better with what happened there. But, that was unfortunate for the Stars last night. I'm not a big puck and stick guy. I joke about being one just to have fun, but I do like the Stars. If I'm going to root for a team, I'll root for the Stars, and I'm hoping for the best for them. But, they're going to have to rebound a little bit.
All right, so our lineup today, Paul, can we have the lines lit up by the time we come back from the next break? Is that right? We're good to go? Here's the number to call, 254-339-1122. That's also the text line brought to you by Riverbend Liquor and Wine. 254-339-1122 is the number to call. Where our first guest will be Craig's daughter, Jennifer Smoke, our fantasy football expert. She'll be calling and talking with us from California. And she's had a rough week since going 1-0 with the loss of Saquon Barkley, among others. Max Olson, who's been kind of busy with Baylor and Houston and others, at 4 o'clock. Mickey Spagnola at 4:30. Our high school football pick'em at 4:45. Kelly Stoffer, the former Seattle Seahawk. He used to play at Colorado State. He's now part of ESPN. He'll be the broadcast with Roy Philpott on Saturday, Baylor in Kansas. He joins us today at 5. Midway football coach Jeff Hume. They're still a week away from their first real game because they got delayed an extra week. Well, they got delayed a month. He'll join us today at 5:20. And then Sam Bradshaw breaks down Baylor in Kansas today in the only way he can. S11, of course, on the boards on Sikkim 365 Radio. All right, we got to go. Here, we'll take a break, come back. The number to call, get your feedback, 254-339-1122. Have the delays of all of what's happened with Baylor changed in any way your thoughts about what you think they'll do this year? Not so much getting into records of it 6-3 or whatever you think they might be, but have the delays of not playing a non-conference game and starting no matter with Kansas or not. Have you changed your mind, or has it made you pause from any of your expectations of this Baylor football team? We'd love to hear from you. Here we go, 254-339-1122, and this is Sikkim 365 Radio. Alan Samuels. Oh, I got the wrong one, huh? Oh, how did that one get there? That's you, Craig. That's for you to go.
Okay, Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got the kickoff summer savings event going on right now, and obviously a lot of great deals and a lot of great customer service as well. They've got the line of Cadillacs, the line of Buicks, and again, thousands of dollars off of the variety of vehicles they've got during this kickoff summer savings event. You can save thousands of dollars on a variety of vehicles, and that includes the GMCs. $8,000 currently off of 2020 GMC Sierra. You can save $6,000 on the roomy 3-row 2020 GMC Acadia. Full of room and full of luxury, all 2020 3-row Buick Enclaves are $8,000 off. If you're looking for a little luxury and style, how about the 2020 Cadillac CT4 starting at $32,995? It's one of the best sedan values on the market. Also, they've got the line of Cadillacs, the XT4s, XT5s, or 7-passenger Cadillac XT6s. If you're looking for some other options, you can get yours today starting at only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. They've got big selection, they've got great prices, and you get free oil changes whenever you buy a new vehicle, plus VIP priority warranty service. They stand by to support all of their customers with award-winning service because Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They just want the chance to earn your business now and with every car down the road. So stop by their daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them online at richardcarr.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford, our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week. Locally owned dealership, online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. The annual tent sale's going on right now.
Howdy there,
Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Still getting some feedback on even yesterday's topic. We'll carry it over just on occasion when we get something on the Twitter feed about who was the most elegant or graceful athlete you ever saw. This was in the, of course, a reference to Gale Sayers passing away yesterday at the age of 70. Was it 77? Someone had Denny Warren, Ronaldo Nehemiah, Skeets Nehemiah, who, of course, tried to play a little NFL football and did, but was an unbelievable world-class hurdler for the United States. Ronaldo Nehemiah is another, and a lot of them have sent pictures of the player, of the athlete, of which we did have late last night even some Nastia Lukin and others that were in gymnastics as well.
Nastia Lukin's a Texan.
Yes, she is. She's in the Texas Sports Hall of Fame very recently, in fact, as well. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys, 254-339-1122. Do you have any changes of what you might have thought this team could be now that you don't know anything a month of what should be into the season with no games playing before you play Kansas?
No, I mean, I don't know anything. I have expectations that I know the players that are on the team and that I know who's good. I know that Charlie Brewer is good and Tyquan Thornton is good and Terrell Bernard is good and I know what Raleigh Tejada's skill set is. I know he's a good, and I know what I know about the guys individually. I don't know how they're going to look in these new schemes, and that's about all willing to go and stretch out. I think they'll win most of the games that they play this year. They've got 9 on the schedule. I think they'll win most of them. I don't know if that's 6-3 or 5-4, but I think that's probably where their talent level is. But again, let's just get to the first one yet and see if they go 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I know as much as everybody else who's listened to every media session and heard these coaches say what they've said about the team and what they're doing, but, I get up today to record Trust the Podcast with Grace, and this is the 4th week in a row we're doing a game preview. There's no game. We did a Houston preview for not. We did a La Tech preview for not. I think we might have done something before that for not. And so, today to do it, it's just we previewed Kansas, but, what do you say? We've done this for a month now. So, I think, just about everything that we could know about Baylor at this point we know. And the only things we don't know are the things we haven't seen. And until we see them, then, we're just kind of at a holding pattern, I feel like.
Yeah, but because they haven't played, Does it change whether I thought they would? Because we don't even know the number of games they're going to play, whether it's 9 now that there's just nothing but conference. Initially, we thought there would be at least 12, and, of course, that went out the window quickly. Then it was 10. In my opinion, I do think that no non-conference games is going to hurt. And I know that nobody else has had more than one, but they've at least had one. Oklahoma State did not look good, and that's the kind of game that you have and you survive Tulsa, but you can clean up from that because that was their first time out. A couple of other teams, like we saw what Oklahoma and we saw what Texas and others look like. They look really good. We saw Texas Tech against Houston Baptist, and they struggled. Even if you struggle, you win the game, but you then learn from that. Baylor has none of that to learn from, whether or not they were going to be suspect in certain ways, whether it's on offense or defense or special teams.
So really they're just in the same position as those other teams a couple weeks ago. You know what I mean? They're going to learn, but like those teams have only had the one game. Maybe there's some out there that have played a couple games. I don't know that for sure, but just as far as my thoughts on the team, it doesn't really change anything. I mean, I guess if there is something that changes, I suppose it would be that this little extra time, I actually am more confident in how they're going to look and more confident that they're going to look good. I don't expect it to be mistake-free by any means, but I also don't expect them to be atrocious coming out of the gates like some of these other teams have been. Because if you think about it, if they got started on time, then you're having fall camp, and that's all you've had. But now you've had, another extra month of practices, right? You've had an extra month of practices because of the delays. So I don't see how that can't make you anything but better when you haven't had spring ball. You've almost now had spring ball because you've had all this extra time. So I feel like this should be a team that knows exactly what their role is, exactly what their job is, should be in good shape, should be, physically built up as much as you can do that because, hell, they've had 2-3 weeks since the openers and saw Navy get destroyed and go, okay, well, maybe we need to work on the physicality a little bit. So I think the weight, if anything, should just make them better.
Yeah. On the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line from Diane, my expectations for this team are higher than they were a month ago before the season was expected to start. Seeing how the team has reacted to the changes in staff and pandemic setbacks has increased my confidence in their ability to put forth a respectable season, whereas before I was expecting rebuild mode. And Gunny, they're going to whip some Kansas A.
I think Gunny, and Diane was the leadoff hitter today, right?
Yeah.
She was the one that kind of set the table, walked or got a base hit, stole second, come around on a couple of, maybe a ground ball to the right side and a sacrifice fly. Gunny he's gunning for the leadoff hitter on this show.
Yeah, he is. He's trying.
And Diane, she got right there in front of him. Gunny and Diane, thanks for your text, 254-339-1122. Now, I'm going to warn everybody, I have this, what is this called? This laptop.
You have a Microsoft Surface.
Okay, whatever this is, it's smaller than I've ever used before. Craig's always had one that's much more manageable, and so do you. Mine's much larger, my whatever that is that I've been using. But I've got a smaller one, and my keyboard is kind of throwing in extra numbers and words on occasion. Like I said, call us at 1-254-339-1122.
That's not totally wrong. It'll still get through.
Yeah, somebody will get a text.
It's a long-distance call. So I'm kind of, like I just said, it's nice to have Drake Toll in the studio from the Lariat. And I said it's nicer to have Drake because it's an extra word, so our letter. So I'm kind of learning that.
I didn't actually meet you, Drake. I'm Craig. Nice to meet you.
I thought you guys had met before. I'm sorry.
I don't think so. If we have, I apologize.
He does China Spring football with J.D. Piquel, right? And they have Mejia tomorrow night at home after the game last week with Lampasas was canceled.
So, no, but technically it is nicer to have Drake here than it's not. I mean, at least right now. So you're in a grammatical area where you're fine.
Okay, no, I'm not.
So why do you have that?
Because
is it a new thing?
Because no, it's first of all thanks to Dow Myers and Amelia. This other laptop I have is just a little bit too large for, as you know, in the press box, and I've always wanted one. And it's very, very inexpensive. In fact, this one's free.
So
Dow doesn't know that, but right now it is.
Prop technology,
unbelievable people.
So no, I think that this is better for you. If you've ever seen the NFL, Smokey, this is what they use now. They used to give like photocopies of pictures on the sideline.
Yeah.
And then look through. Now they hand them a Microsoft Surface and okay, here, and then it's got a little scribbly pen. You can make notes on it. If the coach says, okay, listen, I want you to, when this guy pulls, I want you to fire this gap here.
Yeah, that's a lot smaller than what you've been dealing with. I like it though. It looks good, and it's just obviously going to take you some getting used to, but looks good.
I think it looks better on the set. I was told that the other one was kind of annoying, a little bit too large, and so I decided, okay, and I called Dow. You're the one that told me to get an Acer, whatever. So there's going to be a little bit.
I just told you to get it like Acer's the cheaper laptops.
So tiny. It's not. I'm not a
like if I was on
the.
It looks good.
If I was on the run from
Thank you,
if I was on the run from the, say I was like computer hacker on the run and I didn't have any money and I was, I had to like go into a store and like get a cheap laptop, I would get an Acer,
Yeah, but
then clear my name.
Here's what I'm doing. Here's the worst part. So I have this in front of me and I got to use my fingers, right?
Yeah.
I keep wanting to use the mouse.
Well, we need to take all this stuff out.
I know. I know.
Is it like a security blanket thing right now?
Well, no, I want to use this on this.
I know. That's why we need to just take it out like in the next break. All
right, a couple of other stories. I don't know if you guys saw this or not. This is from John Wilner at Wilner Hotline. Ahead of the Pac-12 vote, California health officials have committed to expanding cohorts to a workable number for football practice per a source. This is a big deal. Last significant obstacle removed.
I don't understand the cohorts part. What does that mean? You said removing cohorts?
Yeah, that's what it has. That's his tweet.
I guess that means that they can have more people at practice so they can be workable.
Okay.
I don't know why they use the term cohorts.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Like, that's very confusing.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good writer. John Wilner's a good writer.
Is,
yeah.
But maybe I'm just a dumb reader.
So
like,
maybe that's what they call that. Like, maybe that's the technical term in California.
Maybe he was using one of my little laptops and
maybe he was.
added a word.
The Pac-12, though, they need to get going if they want to have a season because – unlike the Big Ten, and Craig, you've made this point several times, the Big Ten knew that a spring season was never going to happen. They kept saying that it was like, oh, we've got a plan. What's the plan? Oh, you just wait till the year of the plan. It's a good plan. We don't want to reveal the plan yet, but it's good. So they had all that going. But they kept the players on campus, knowing that eventually they were going to try to fight their way into getting a season in the fall, which will start a month from now in the Big Ten. They're going to play 8 straight weeks. But the Pac-12, those kids haven't been on campus in most cases. Like I think they probably are in like we had Herm Edwards. I know they're on campus in Arizona and places like that. But in all the California schools, they're not on campus at all. They haven't been on campus. They've been working out on campus. Oregon, not on campus. Washington, I think just now getting back to campuses. So they haven't been going through off-season programs. They're not ready to play. So their best option, I don't know if is even getting done by October. Can you get ready in a month?
Well, they're going to have to. I mean, if that happens. North Carolina State, by the way, announced pay cuts, furloughs, to make up for a shortfall. This is yet one of – I saw a note that the University of Texas expects to lose nearly $170 million in revenue from the football season being changed up.
Well, when you spend as much as they do and you're not going to be bringing in as much money, I could see that.
Yep.
Oftentimes when you look at those the peen contest that is A&M and Texas on any list of something, there's always what athletic department earns the most money, and it's always one of those two. Like, it's not ever a surprise. It's always A&M or Texas, and it's usually Texas. But if you look at like the actual numbers, Texas would make, let's say, for example, like $125 million, right? But how much did they spend on recruiting, and how much did they spend on other things? Well, they spend like 115 of that 125, right? So yeah, I could definitely see where if not as much money's coming in, but you're still probably spending more than most schools are. If not as much as you were, but
it's been like $200 million.
So that's what I'm saying is like let's say they make $200 million. Well, they spent $185 million of it. So when you're not bringing in nearly as much, but you're still probably spending more than most, you're going to be losing some money eventually. So I think that's
one of the reasons we need to change.
That's not surprising, but yeah, that's very interesting on the Pac-12. Colorado's obviously a big question right now, and yeah, like Texas and all these other athletic departments, NC State now, the one you mentioned, rough times for sure.
Jay Cook on Twitter on the question about does the fact that now that Baylor has not played a non-conference game, does that affect or does it change your expectation of what they do this season with Kansas coming up on Saturday? It's not just about Kansas, it's about the entire season. Jay Cook, I can't call, but like baseball, just having a season and some normalcy is more meaningful than the results, especially for Baylor with a new coach and not knowing when the next game is. Season could go off the rails quickly. I'm not trying to agree with Jay on this, But Jay makes a point, in my opinion, and I say this, I understand there's no respect really for Kansas football. I don't care about what they did against Coastal Carolina. I think more of the fact that Baylor could go out and drill them 40-10. I just think that there's something there that could create a little bit of uneasy early on, at least in the game against Kansas.
Oh yeah, I mean they haven't played. I mean, and I think I do agree with his points. I don't think the season will go off the rails, but unless there's just more of this. You play a game, you wait 3 weeks. You play a game, you wait 2 weeks. Like then there's a point where the emotion of your football team, the mental health of your football team, you just can't take anymore, and all you want is for it to be over. Like let's just get to 2021 would be the idea. And that's hard. This can be hard for every coaching staff in the country to deal with.
Oh, I think they're ready to play Kansas. I do.
I think they're going to look good. I do. Yeah. I mean, they've had to wait this long. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be pretty sharp when they come out there. And yes, I do expect some rustiness, but I mean, I think this team right now would beat the mess out of the team from a month ago. They had a whole month of practices and film and hitting and all of that stuff. So, yeah, absolutely. Kansas could be a game where they stub their toe, but this is a team they beat 60-6 last year. And I know it's a different Baylor team. I know it's a different Kansas team. But I still expect Baylor to be pretty good. I don't think they're going to win 11 games. They're not even going to play 11 games. But I do think they could win 7 or 8 games, and I definitely think they're better than Kansas, and they're at home, and they've been waiting this long, so let's go.
If you took everything they lost and put it on 2 or 3 other jerseys in the conference, but they had their quarterbacks coming back, and they had some of the other weapons coming back, they would not be picked 5th or 6th in the conference.
No,
it
but
goes back to that again.
The difference, though, is that like the 2 teams that would get that bump regardless are the 2 teams that always do, and those 2 teams will be the excuse for guys who put them in the same place every year. Oh, well, they recruit so well, and they recruit. And Baylor hasn't exactly been known for recruiting, so the benefit they give those bigger teams is, hey, they were really good last year, and yeah, I know you lost your 3 running backs, and you lost 4 receivers, and you lost your entire D-line, you lost this and you lost that, but hey, you're A&M and you recruit really well, so you're still going to be top 10 because you've got this guy coming back. That won't happen with Baylor. Yeah, they got Charlie Brewer coming back, but they don't necessarily have the big recruits that people just expect to, fill those roles, I don't think. And they don't have the respect level either. There's definitely a bias for the bigger schools.
Roy Philpott yesterday, who will broadcast, he'll be play-by-play on Saturday of Baylor in Kansas, asked this question. Why not? It's a logo thing. It's a tradition thing. But in the last 10 years, who else in the Big 12 has 5 10-plus wins seasons?
OU.
Oklahoma, we know. Texas had the 10-4 team 2 years ago, and, of course, then all of a sudden they get ranked in the top 5 to 10 last year, and they had momentum coming back. But TCU's had some ups and downs. Oklahoma State's been pretty steady, but they've had a couple of ups and downs. But they've had 5 10-win seasons in the last decade. And that's not like a spike. That's a trend, and they've done that with 3 different coaches in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
they've done that and continued even with the 1-11. And you know what? If 2016 doesn't fall off if it doesn't shatter because of the emotions. That was probably going to be a 10-win season as well.
Yeah, it works both ways, though, right? Every year, it's the year for Michigan and Texas and all that. So USC, like every year, it's their year. Well, since Baylor's not in that every year is their year historically, I think people just automatically want to be like, okay, well, that was nice. That was nice. They don't want to actually they like old history. But Eisenhower's not the president anymore. Things are different. Like let's move on. So if you look at recent history,
but things have changed, and this is not. By the way, I'm not defending Baylor not being top 2 or 3 or 4. I didn't vote them in the top 2 or 3 in the Big 12 this year myself. I will say this though, the young players of today, and you can see this in recruiting. You still see the same schools get the same players, but things have changed. No one cares anymore, even when UT won the national title in 2005. That's 15 years ago. For Oklahoma, they have remained more than relevant. They just took Georgia double overtime, a couple of years ago, in a great game out in the Rose Bowl. They haven't won a national title since 2001. Or 2000, but they've remained at the very top for 20 years. And they had their slippage right before that with John Blake and Snellenberger. The names on the jersey still count what it seems like for us in our profession. Well, they don't count all that much anymore when it comes to when you go play the game. You see Coastal Carolina worried about, I know it's Kansas. You think Appalachian State, you think that Troy and University of Louisiana, they don't care about that anymore.
No.
There's too many games that they watch. It's not like that's the only game they watch growing up anymore.
No, all that's changed. But I do think that the reason that Baylor doesn't get in that top 25 automatic or this team's been good for the most part of the last decade conversation is because they just they didn't earn their stripes back in 1972.
Was it that, or was it because they have a coaching change? They lost 9 defensive starters.
I think it's all part of the same ingredients.
It's all bit
there.
of both. So,
we cover the team, and we're talking about what they're going to look like, and we have no idea. So I don't blame somebody who covers like Boise State for not giving Baylor the benefit of the doubt and putting them in the top 25. How if we can't even predict what they're going to be, how could somebody who doesn't follow them on a daily basis? It's definitely just the way college football is. College football is like this more than any other sport. If you're in the club, you're in the club for life.
Yep.
And if you're not in the club, then you can't get in the club. And the only way that you can is if you somehow, have some sort of a history like a Clemson did, and then you rebound in this day and age, and then you become a dominant program like Clemson has become, and then you can enter the club. But there's a lot of teams that are borderline in that club, and they're borderline because they don't have the wins, but they have the money, or they have the tradition, or whatever. And then there's teams like Baylor who don't have a lot of tradition as far as winning in football, and they're not a big school, and they don't have a huge fan base, and they don't have a giant stadium, and they don't have all those things. And so they're just probably never going to be in the club, quite frankly, until somebody breaks through and wins a national title, which is...
Okay, let me ask you this. Why was Texas ranked higher than Baylor going into this season?
Because Sam Ehlinger's back, their coach is back.
Charlie Brewer's back, okay, and Tom Herman's back, but it's because of what you just said. It's exactly what you just said.
Keontae Ingram's back. They've got the 5-star running back in Bijan Robinson. Yes, it's their... Yes, they're overrated because they're Texas. I don't think we're breaking any news there. That's every year. And for Baylor, I don't think it should come as any surprise that they're not given that bump because they're not in that class. They're not in that category. And they never will be. That's reality. They won't be unless they go win like 3 national titles in a row. And until then sometimes you're going to be left out of the top 25.
Mm-hmm. It's like different. Toronto wins it all last year, right?
Yeah.
And even when you go back, and yes, they lose Kawhi and all the other, but then you still look, and you're still going to be the Lakers, and it's still going to be the teams. It's the same thing in the NFL with the Cowboys and other teams as well. All right, when we come back, her fantasy football team is on life support in week number 2. Jennifer Smoke will call in. We'll get in touch with her from California with her fantasy football team. Lost Saquon Barkley and others who have just
Carson Wentz is her quarterback.
Carson Wentz is an
pick.
absolute mess.
But I'm going to give her some advice this week.
God.
That's gonna help. She's given me the password to her league so we can look right here at the free agents that are available.
She needs the help.
They have games tonight, though, right? She has to make a decision tonight. Like
there's one decision she's going to make tonight. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to convince her.
You are?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll come back and try to help start her trip off better than maybe, with this thing on fantasy football. I know she's really bummed about it. We'll have her on. And then we start rapid fire. Max Olson at 4, Mickey at 4:30, high school pick'em at 4:45. And then, of course, we also today have Kelly Stoffer, ESPN color analyst for the game coming up Saturday on ESPNU, Baylor in Kansas. Jeff Hume of Midway, and at 5:30, Sam Bradshaw will break it down. Baylor in Kansas. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. If you like to smoke cigars, there's a place called Don's Humidor in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Off the top of my head, I can get there and look at the notes and whatever else. Here's what they have. Macanudo, Ashton, also H. Upman, Arturo Fuente, Rocky Patel, Cohiba. They have the best brands. Period. And Carol and Ashley, by the way, understand the cigar business. They themselves will smoke a cigar, see what they think of it, give you a review, and also continue to keep up with what's the national trend and the trends around the world. when it comes to the best cigars in the world, and they have them inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor. On top of that, they have some CBD products if you need, including Vita Dreams if you need help getting to sleep, if you kind of toss and turn and you can't sleep well, and coffee beans galore, an assortment, an array of aromas and flavors of coffee beans. But if you also want what else goes with a cigar, the cutter, the humidor to put them in, and also the torch lighters, Carol and Ashley and Don's Humidor, they have those as well. It's Don's Humidor in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine. Best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Bear with us here these next 8 to 13 to 15 minutes. We have we have a lot of work to do, and I'm fantasy football illiterate. You know that. I don't do it anymore because I'm so bad at it. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke, and joined now by fantasy football expert Jennifer Smoke, whose team is in need of major overhaul because of a horrific run of bad luck. Jennifer, you're in California. It's like 75 degrees and sunny.
Yes, it's beautiful weather here.
If we're using Tara's number, does she get extra tips from us as well since we're on her cell phone?
No. It's only me, and I had to walk away from the group so I can do this.
So
all right, Paul,
are any of your other fantasy,
dedication?
Are there any other team members there with you close?
No, it's only Tara's here with you, but they're back at the table. I walked to a quiet area so I can talk to you guys.
Okay. Jennifer, I'm not going to say I told you so on Saquon Barkley.
God, don't.
But here we are. I mean, we're here.
Yeah.
So I have looked at the availability in your league, and here's what I will tell you. You need to do these three things. First of all, you need to drop Joe Burrow and pick up Gardner Minshew and play Gardner Minshew tonight. Gardner Minshew is.
Look, Jen, we know Carson Wentz sucks, so I mean, listen to Paul here.
Beyond sucks. He's equal now to me what Mixon was to me last year. Beyond sucks. If you're an Eagles fan, find a new team.
If you want, drop Carson Wentz, but pick one of those guys. Also,
no, I did consider getting Minshew, so okay, I'll take that into consideration.
No.
You
There's
need
no consideration here.
You lost by 90 points last week. You need to do this.
Okay, calm down, guys. Okay.
All right.
So got point number one. Okay.
Okay. Number two, you have Sterling Shepard, who's going on IR. Deebo Samuel
who's not.
Deebo Samuel will be coming off, and he'll be the number one target in San Francisco next week. So you need to pick him up and replace Sterling Shepard.
Okay, got it. No, I already have my eye on Deebo Samuel. I do.
So just go ahead and do that right now because it's not even going to be a waiver claim. So you can do those two moves, and hopefully nobody else is listening right now. And you can do those. All right. The third thing is that Phillip Lindsay is a backup. Ronald Jones is now in a backup. Phillip Lindsay's hurt. Ronald Jones is a waiver claim you're going to have to make. But I would go ahead and make a claim on Ronald Jones and put him on your team in place of Phillip Lindsay just because that'll be a more fluid situation, and that should solve a lot of your problems.
Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you. But I just want to say a few things to you guys real quick, okay? First of all, I feel like you guys are really coming at my team hard. I want to remind you that, I can't control that Saquon wants to get – I mean, what was that? That was barely even a hit worth tearing your ACL, so I'm already just pissed off about that. But secondly, first of all, you guys, like Craig, don't think that when I hang up from this show that I don't hear you still talking about my receivers last week and saying that you're not proud, okay?
I'm not hiding.
Listening. No, okay. So let me tell you a few things about my receivers, okay? First of all, I understand that maybe I didn't go, in the first two rounds with my receivers, but, I have Galladay and he's been hurt, and I'm hoping he'll come back this week. I will say Cooper Kupp, well, first let's talk about Hilton. Like, talk about somebody that's been completely invisible. I don't know where he's at on the field or what's going on, or Phillip Rivers and him gotten into a fight or something, because he has been very disappointing this season. So I really feel like if he doesn't have a big game this week, that really is going to say a lot about him. But
apparently he got a talk from his grandma. So, yeah, that's a real.
Are you serious?
Apparently his grandmother gave him a pep talk. So now he's gonna ball out. That's
okay. Well, good. I'm glad somebody gave him a pep talk. And even I have Ertz too, which Ertz hasn't even been going off. But I mean, like I just said earlier, the Eagles suck. Okay, suck. That's an understatement. So I'm hoping that, he'll start getting going. And Wentz is one of those quarterbacks that he always starts off slow, and then he starts picking up towards the end of the season. But, unfortunately, I don't have time for that on my team. But I also did pick up, did you see, Paul, that I picked up Devontae Freeman? Because, as y'all know, he'll be covering for Saquon's injury.
Yeah, that's a good stash right now because he's not going to play much in the first week or two, but eventually they're going to have to give the ball to somebody, and they don't Wayne Gallman and Deion Lewis are more specialty type guys. Yeah, I think that's a good pickup for you. So that was very savvy.
But let me just say this. Saquon, Will Fuller, Sterling Shepard, James White, Sammy Watkins, Josh Jacobs, Fuller, all of those guys, Philip Lindsay, every single one of those guys are on my team, and they all got hurt.
Josh Jacobs got hurt?
He's going to play.
Okay.
No. He had gone out with his hurt with hip and his hurt. Oh my gosh, his hip was hurting at one point, but he ended up staying in the game. But I'm just making a point of like all these injuries that are happening. Like they're clearly happening based off everything that the guidelines of quarantine. I mean, I have not seen this many injuries in the first 2 weeks of NFL football, and I don't even remember when. So that's already a concern of mine to begin with, that so many people are getting hurt right off the bat. McCaffrey, Devontae Adams, Mostert, Sutton, Garoppolo. I mean, it's just one after the other.
Yeah, it's been bad, and it's because they didn't have that offseason. But the good news is your team can be salvaged, Jennifer. I mean, it's...
I think so, too. Honestly, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Daniel probably saw a completely different side of me last Sunday because I had a complete meltdown. I don't know what I could... Anything in my sight, I think I threw it or punched it. But it's like...
Even Oreo?
Imagine... No, not my sweet baby Oreo. No. But you guys, imagine struggling so bad, trying to decide, do you want to go with Saquon? Do you want to go with Zeke? Do you want to go with Saquon? Do you want to go to Zeke? And then having to know that he went out that quickly. And I knew that Saquon's very injury prone, and it sucks for him because if he, doesn't start off when he does come back, with a bang, it's sad because he's not even going to be a top fantasy pick anymore because people aren't going to want to risk it with him.
Yeah.
But that's what's killing me. I mean, I know McCaffrey got hurt, obviously. I mean, I don't want Zeke to get hurt, but if it would have been him, it would at least made me feel better. But that's what sucks is that, I struggled so hard with that pick, and then I went with the guy that, of course, is going out on me. But and Paul, you see that I have the running back for the Jaguars too, and he had a great week last week.
Yeah, that's you also have Joshua Kelly from the Chargers. So
who has J.K. Dobbins? Anyone have J.K. Dobbins?
Dad, listen, Dad, you always ask about like these big names, and it's like everyone has who I need, okay? Or I would have gotten them by now. Like everyone has these big players.
Does anybody have Patrick Mahomes?
No, Dad will text me and say, "Did someone have this person? Someone have this person?"
I asked her about Rex
people
Burkhead.
like Devontae Adams and stuff. Like, yes, of course, everyone has these people.
Okay.
Yeah,
everyone but you, and that's the problem we're trying to help you with. You have a very good team.
Okay.
Taylor has J.K. Dobbins. Her team is named Hide and Zeke.
I have a great team. Okay, like some of my players, it's only the second week. Okay, some of these players don't get going until the middle of the week. I mean, Cup last year was tied in second in the league last year for receiving touchdowns, but the Rams haven't been really playing anybody to where they have to be throwing the ball like that and stuff. So, I really feel like my players just haven't had the ability to shine because either their teams are up by a lot or they're not doing certain things because of their play game. So I am not giving up. I was devastated when Saquon went out. I'm still devastated about it, but I feel like it can be fixed. I feel like there's a lot to happen throughout the season, and other people are going to lose players. And I'm confident in my team. I'm not going to let you guys continue to hate on my team like this.
No, it's not that. It's just we're worried about it. When you drop a game like that, it's
I'll break down her matchup this week so far.
I don't like it.
No, so
Cam Newton.
But if she does what we tell her to do,
okay.
If she
before you go back to eat fish tacos and some little like smart California martini, you need to make the move that Paul mentioned about the quarterback.
Yeah, you need to do that one. So if it's Gardner Minshew,
no, that was already a discussion. So I was deciding between those two. Let's just say that. I mean, like, do y'all not think Burrow could end up being like a top 10 to 12 fantasy quarterback by the end of the season?
I think you should. I mean, if I were doing it, I would drop Wentz and pick up Minshew.
What?
Yeah, I like Minshew.
Really?
Yeah, Wentz's offensive line's not going to get me healthy.
Cincinnati and Burrow?
I'd rather have Burrow than Wentz.
Yeah. Because again, the other thing is Burrow.
No, listen. The Burrow, the last game, he threw the ball 61 times last week. If that's not a sign of a good fantasy football, and they have Green, Boyd, T. Higgins, and John Ross. Like, they've got guys that Burrow will throw to. I mean, I've been impressed with Burrow. I know that.
All right.
I mean, I can't stand the Bengals after Mixon last year, but still.
All right.
Wentz only has tight ends.
I'm going to make some moves.
Who's Cincinnati
What?
playing tonight? This weekend?
Cincinnati.
Jennifer Smoke, by the way, 1-1 after getting a very impressive win to opening week.
They play Philadelphia. So,
oh God!
But
they suck. They suck. No worries there.
But so if it's Minshew and Newton, that's fantasy kind of a push right now. So that's good. You want at least a push in your matchups in each position. She's got Josh Jacobs versus Austin Eckler. I think that's an advantage there. Now Robinson versus Chris Carson. The other team.
They play the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, they're playing the Cowboys who have nothing up the middle. He's going to have a big game. Kenny Galladay's supposed to be back. Devontae Adams is questionable.
And when he goes out, he goes out. It seemed like he can.
Alan Lazard is available, and that might not be a bad pickup to just if you keep him away from that team so they don't replace him. Cooper Kupp, against Buffalo, against Julian Edelman, that's about the same. Advantage tight end, Zach Ertz and Goddard are the only people catching passes.
So
for
even
the
if
Eagles.
Wentz has a pretty good game, a lot of it will most likely be to Ertz. So that's good.
Her defense actually is the Colts, which you would think, the Colts, but they're playing the Jets, who are terrible.
They got like 17 points.
Yeah. But they're playing the Jets, who are terrible.
She's got Tucker.
She's got Justin Tucker. Yeah. So make a couple of moves, and I think your team's fine. I think you'll be all right. But
I appreciate that.
I texted everything to you, by the way, so that you.
I got it. Paul.
On Sunday, Craig, on Sunday evening in a text, she was underneath all the pillows and blankets and covers she had and was not going to come out.
It was not a pretty sight. Y'all, I might or might not have cried a few times, and it's just not fair. It's not fair. I didn't see anybody else getting upset on any of the other teams about their big players getting lost, and then I had people like I even sent I think I even sent a text to the group chat saying something about it, and they were like, "Oh, well, Ridley's doing great. Oh, Matt Ryan's doing awesome." It's like, see, they don't even understand. Like, they just don't even understand what I was going through. But it's okay. I'm going to make it come back.
Okay.
I'm going to make it come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me know when you do so I can jump back on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Listen, Jennifer, you do this. People are going to feel like you're just a swarm of bees in fantasy.
You know what you could do also this weekend is ask Graham for some advice. He knows a little bit about the quarterback play, right?
So we're definitely deciding Minshew over Burrow.
Yes.
No, you
Wait, no,
Minshew over Wentz.
Yeah.
You're going to drop Carson Wentz, pick up Minshew, and start Minshew tonight?
Yeah, start Minshew tonight.
And then keep Joe Burrow.
Against the worst defense in the league. Keep
Somebody
Joe
this
Burrow.
time just yelled, "Joe Burrow, go Tigers."
See, that's a sign.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, I appreciate the advice.
He threw the ball 61 times. Did he complete any of them?
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing is sometimes you don't really care about completion percentage as much because if he's going to be.
LeBron James tweeted about him.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
So
I definitely didn't see it then.
If your quarterback is going to play from behind a lot, you can get a lot of garbage fantasy points.
And that's what they're going to do. They're going to play from behind a lot. So that's why. But okay. All right. I'll consider Minshew. I got to talk it over with all my people first, and then I'll decide.
Wow. She took all that advice and then said, we got to talk it over with all. In other words, she has to call Daniel.
Yeah.
I'm sure the girls you're competing
Exactly.
I'm sure the girls you're competing against will give you great advice on your team, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I'm not sharing the segments with them anymore because it's ruining my game.
I'm not sure
I
about.
can't have this.
You may want to ask Daniel before he hears this segment that says you have your eye on Deebo Samuel.
No, we are. Trust me, my eye already was on Deebo Samuel. Okay, it's like you can't drop everybody on your team and pick up everybody, Dad. There's a limited amount of players. You know, it's
so Minshew,
I'm doing the best I
Deebo,
can.
Ronald Jones. No, you are, and we appreciate it. Have fun. The fact that you did the segment and you're in California, it shows the commitment you have.
You know, I should get her on our fantasy football show next week just to preview this segment.
There you go.
Yeah.
That'll fill an hour right there.
So.
All right, let us know. Please send us the matchup and let us know what you end up doing as far as your team tonight, so we can all suffer with you. Okay. Good luck.
Yeah, I will.
We wish you the best.
Okay, love you guys.
That's
Bye-bye.
Jennifer Smoke with us on the weekly expert fantasy football. Do you think what is she going to do at quarterback? What will she do now? Go with Burrow?
I think she needs to go with Minshew and stick to him for the season.
Isn't that weird how he puts up pretty good numbers?
Yeah, and he's available. He's available in most leagues right now, actually, and about half the leagues in the country. So.
All right, when we come back, Max Olson has been busy. He's been putting up articles about Baylor, and then of course Houston, and then of course all the rest of what's going on in college football. He'll join us next on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Brotherwell Brewing, they're actually one of the sponsors of our fantasy football show, and we have some here in studio. We're going to have some out at our tailgate, Sikkim 365 tailgate at Brazos Parking this weekend. So the tailgate is going to be there from starting from 11 to 5. They're going to be out there early, and they'll be there before the game. So if you want to go to Brazos Parking, check out some nice cold frosty brews from Brotherwell Brewing. You can do that. Absolutely fantastic. I went there to pick up some beer last night, and they gave me a little bit of everything. We had some of the Shelter and Haze, a great hazy IPA, the Active Faith, which is a Belgian-style triple. That was really good. During the show last night, I had a Hidden Herd, which is an amber lager with a clean finish and a fairly malty body. Really, really good. And the Bridge Street Vit, also really good if you're a Belgian-style wheat beer fan. It's got that orange and spice flavor to it. It's named after the street the brewery's on. So just hop on down to East Bridge Street. And look, right now, they can't have normal events at the breweries because of COVID-19. But if you want curbside service, man, you can pull up and, call them up and tell them what you want. They'll come out and give it to you. Also, they have the East Side Market that comes around. So check that out on brotherwell.com. So you can go hang out at the East Side Market. That is still going on as well, and they host that at Brotherwell Brewing. And it's just a fantastic place. It's a local place, local people making local beer to be enjoyed by the people in this town. And of all the people who have been hit hard, people who sell alcohol for a living have really been hit hard in this COVID-19 crunch. So buy local, buy places like Brotherwell, and if you are a fan of craft beer, some of the best. They get it all the time. People come in and say, I don't like beer, but I do like this, because they care about their beer. Brotherwell Brewing, online at brotherwell.com.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
What season is it? It's truck season at Allen Samuels. Ram trucks are raring to go, ready to work and play, and all feature the best deals of the year during Ram Power Days. Come get your brand new Ram Lone Star at Allen Samuels with 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $9,250 in bonus cash and incentives. Ram, the highest pickup owner loyalty in America. Shop, apply, buy online. We deliver. Ram Power Days at Allen Samuels.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects. With 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
On first down. Brewer, play fake. Got time. Delivers. Catch made. Platt. Chris Platt. Sprint for the end zone. Touchdown, Baylor. They sure did take their shot.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour. We'll have 3 different segments in this hour, including our high school football pick'em at 4:45. Mickey Spagnola, Cowboys at 4:30. Now joined by someone who's been very busy. Anyone that's covered college football, even with some of the interruptions. Max Olson, The Athletic, our go-to guy, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. So you've had to do a lot of coverage of Baylor in a lot of different ways, huh?
Yeah, things have occurred.
Things have occurred. Oh my! I even think that yesterday is it Pesman, the AD at Houston? He even was able to take a little subtle shot again at Baylor with the.
I wouldn't say subtle.
Okay, not so subtle. Yeah.
No, they're. I haven't seen anything else today. Maybe both sides have finally moved on here. I do want to ask you guys, what do you think the chances are that in the next 10 years you will be covering a Baylor at Houston game at this point?
Man, I don't know.
I think it'll happen. I think that cooler heads will prevail, and these guys, know each other, Pesman and Rhodes. I think it'll work out. But yeah, if they were having to determine that right now, Max, I don't think that's getting done. Anytime soon.
I think you got to let things simmer down a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, I mean, and you've talked about it plenty. I mean, we've seen more of it this week with what's gone on for Notre Dame and USF and all these programs that have run into these issues. It's really complicated stuff, right? And it's unfortunate that it turns into some of that finger pointing and stuff last week because, look, ultimately, it's a really complicated thing. It's something that certainly Mac Rhodes and Baylor have tried to manage to the best of their ability last week, and the outcome on Friday is a bummer for all of us, including folks that cover it, and especially for the folks in that building. But I think that probably the jabs from Houston, I just think are counterproductive ultimately, because if you're Baylor, you've got a pretty straightforward defense here, and that's the health and safety of your team.
Yeah, Max, were they mad that the game got canceled or that it got canceled late? That's what I mean, would they have rather come and then, gotten sick? I don't understand.
I mean, yeah, I think that, would they have preferred to get canceled Thursday night? I guess probably so. Would that have made a huge difference? Ultimately, I don't know how much it would. Certainly on the Houston side of things, their frustration is, when they find out on Friday that that Baylor's down to 6 offensive linemen, I think their natural knee-jerk reaction there is, why didn't you tell us anything on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that you had no line problem? And, as we know with the way this stuff goes, it's not quite so simple as that. I think from what I gathered, and Mac Rhodes said it Monday, they didn't think they had a problem Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's just another round of testing on Wednesday. You get the results Thursday, and you realize, okay, we're more depleted here due to injuries, obviously the suspension, all that, than we planned on being. So it's I think if you're Houston, you wanted to know a lot earlier in the week that this couldn't happen. But unfortunately, with the way this goes and the 3 rounds of testing during the week, we've seen it happen multiple times. There was another game last week that got canceled on Friday too. Sometimes it's just going to happen 24 hours before kickoff, and it's a huge disappointment for all involved.
Gosh, Max, there's so much to talk about with college football this weekend. I saw somebody make the comment a little while ago of this is the first time or the first weekend that it really feels like college football because now the SEC is playing and the schedule's a bit more loaded up. But I guess I'll start off with Jeremy Pruitt getting that 2-year extension with Tennessee. I know that's the thing to do is a little bit of success and you lock a guy down, and certainly he turned Tennessee around last year, finishing 7-1 down the stretch. But what are your thoughts on Tennessee inking Pruitt to an extension, and your thoughts on them this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's that's just sort of how this business goes, even in the middle of a pandemic and just a total budget crisis at all of these schools. The agents still got to do their jobs and get these guys paid. And, in the case of Jeremy Pruitt, I think it's a fascinating bet on their end because one, where is he going to go? What job is he supposed to be leaving for anytime soon? I don't know that he necessarily has that leverage over Tennessee. And then, last year they finished really strong, but they didn't beat a top 25 team at any point, during that run they made. And so it's still, as they go into this year 3 here, there's still a lot to prove. And, starting off here with South Carolina, which I think is a pretty interesting matchup for them. I think Tennessee will be better this year. But, and they need to be because ultimately when you bet on a guy before the season like that, there's going to be some backlash if things go south for you there a little bit. But interesting move there. I don't, if you were ranking the top SEC coaches right now, I don't know where you'd put Pruitt on that list, but certainly Tennessee's happy to have him.
You like South Carolina's quarterback though, right? You're a big fan of his.
I think, well, we'll see. I mean, offensively, South Carolina has not been very fun to watch under Will Muschamp. So how much does that change under Mike Bobo here coming in will be interesting. But, Colin Hill came over from Colorado State with Mike Bobo, knows what he wants to do, and, can be that veteran presence they need. And they lost Brian Edwards and some good players. But I think that's a nice little matchup there. I'm curious to see, in a lot of these cases, as we've seen in the Big 12 so far, and you'll see more of it in the SEC, just the new coordinator element is always interesting to watch, given how kind of challenging this offseason was.
And about Will Muschamp, he is, wherever he's been a head coach, the offense has not been good. As a matter of fact, at Florida, it was so ridiculously bad that they hired an offensive coach who couldn't even get him out of that muck before they got good again. Do you think that if he, if it's the end of his run at South Carolina, that he is pretty much now assigned to being a defensive coordinator for the rest of his career?
Good question. I mean, I think his way can work, and they were able to beat Georgia last year by playing the way they like to play, and so there's some evidence that it can work in that conference. It just hasn't been very consistent there. But he's a pretty tireless recruiter, and I'm sure that they're going to be a pretty solid team this year. And we haven't really talked a whole lot about the rest of the teams in the SEC East because it's just been such a Georgia Florida debate. But curious to see if any of them can rise up.
We have the Big Ten coming back. I know the Pac-12 still ironing some things out, but how about with the Big Ten's return, the return of a player like Rondale Moore, who announced he's going to be returning to Purdue after initially saying he's going to be entering the draft?
Yeah, that's been awesome to see that some of these players in the Big Ten have, we'll see kind of how the logistics of that works, how, getting that all kind of formally approved and stuff, but to be able to get the guys like Rondale Moore and Rashad Bateman at Minnesota back, who, those guys wanted to play this fall. And the only reason they opted out was because there wasn't going to be a season. And, I think it's awesome to get those guys back. We didn't really get to see much from Rondale Moore last year because he dealt with injuries, but as a true freshman in 18, just one of the best playmakers in the country, flat out. And dude who helped kind of single-handedly beat Ohio State that year. That kid is a super talent. Who, it would have been a bummer to see that kid really only play, one true season of college football. So to see him come back and improve his draft stock and make them fun to watch again is going to be awesome.
Yeah, and last year that was too bad, and I'm glad and I hope that eventually all these guys that opted out will be able to play. And I know that we're up. They got time. They got a little bit of time between now and then.
Yeah.
I mentioned this earlier. Baylor starts with Kansas. At least we so hope they do on Saturday at 6:30. I'm of the opinion that no matter how Kansas looked against Coastal Carolina, which was not good, and Coastal Carolina came in and just kind of dictated the game, they have at least played a game. And then they've had a couple of weeks to work on that. Baylor's played nobody but themselves now for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, which Craig actually said it's almost like they actually ended up with their own spring drills. But is there any kind of the fact you haven't played non-conference, and only everyone else has played only once, but they've played somebody else? Does that change in any way the way you look at what Baylor might do this year?
Well, I think that probably last week's game was instructive. I think we know Oklahoma State is better than what we saw in that first game against Tulsa, but their first game got delayed a week, and defensively they looked awesome, but offensively, you have a key injury to start the game, and everything else looks a little bit inconsistent. The offensive line play doesn't look right. They just weren't able to get things clicking with Chuba Hubbard, and so I think we're probably going to see a good amount of that this week, especially as the SEC jumps back into it. You have these Big 12 teams that like Baylor and TCU that haven't played yet. I think there's definitely that chance that you're going to have. It's going to be a little bit bumpy just to start off, just because it's an execution thing, and you want to be really, really crisp. And maybe with the opponent Baylor's got, that's a little bit easier to do this week. I am excited to see how Baylor attacks them on both sides of the ball. I've written about this before, but I'm looking forward to the fact that we don't know what that's going to look like, and I think that's an advantage still for Baylor. But yeah, you're right. The fact that these kids are tired of practicing and banging against each other, you wonder how much that plays into just the product on the field on Saturday, and can you, if that stuff happens early, can you do what Oklahoma State did and rally back there a little bit and get back to form?
Max, what were your thoughts on Deion Sanders taking the Jackson State job? Obviously big for HBCUs. Do you think this has any kind of a ripple effect?
I assume they'll make a reality show out of it.
Yeah.
I assume that we'll see a lot of tweets. I'm sure there'll be a lot of NCAA compliance issues and stuff. I think it's going to be fascinating to watch. I mean, it's that thing got off to a crazy start with Jackson State lying to reporters and saying Deion's not a candidate when it was a done deal. And so, you saw the tweets this week about, is he going to hire Terrell Owens and Warren Sapp and these guys on the staff? I think it's going to be pretty amazing to watch. But, I certainly think there are going to be some recruits out there who say, wait a minute, I want to see what's going on there. Now, obviously, we're still in a time here where no one can take visits and stuff like that, and he's not even going to start being the head coach of Jackson State until the spring in terms of coaching football. But I definitely think that's going to get recruits' attention, and they're going to at least be interested to find out more, especially if some of that stuff comes true in terms of the big name staff there.
When he was at Prime Prep and he put that together, he did run into some things that were concerns about, like with what the UIL looked at. Remember, there were
he got fired and rehired 4 times.
And so, and I even was thinking about this, and you mentioned you just can't hire somebody to be a head coach. There's a lot of things that they have to go through as well, certification, things like that as well. So I'm not saying those guys won't do that or are already not in that position, but there are rules. There are some
the thing, and the things that went on at Prime Prep. I mean, the Dallas Morning News and others have done a great job of covering that over the years. But I mean, you would think it would give any athletic director pause that you'd be getting involved with Deion Sanders based on kind of that past history with that institution they try to set up. So I'm certainly curious to see. This is a guy who quit NFL Network to go join Barstool Sports and then took this job. So it's just pretty. I can't really get a good read on where he's kind of at in terms of how serious this is, and it's going to be a really interesting experiment.
And is still with Barstool Sports, by the way. He's still going to be doing his podcast and everything. I do think the reality show aspect, if the coaching staff rumors are true, and you have, not to mention, some of the other guys who are mentioned on the staff, but if you have Deion Sanders Terrell Owens and Warren Sapp in the same room trying to work up a game plan, that's too much ego for a building. It'll collapse.
On the other hand, if those guys are walking through your high school hallway there to come recruit you, I think people are going crazy too. So it's going to be interesting. We've seen a little bit of that at the college basketball level, where there are some, there have been some top recruits who are more interested right now in looking into, seriously looking at HBCUs. So, I do think that would be a pretty awesome thing to see. But, who knows what those kids are signing up for if they go to Jackson State.
Max, A&M opens up against Vanderbilt at home in College Station, number 10 ranking to start off the season. What are your thoughts on Jimbo entering this year? Obviously, you got some good players coming back and some guys that won't be, like a Jamon Osmond. But what is your opinion on the Aggs? This was kind of the year they've been talking about now for a while.
Yeah, it is. I think you're losing Jamon Osmond and Anthony Hines, during camp here like this is interesting. I know he said he doesn't think they'll have more opt-outs like that, but that's two pretty high-profile guys. I think that I'm curious to see kind of how the expectations locally there kind of adjust throughout the season, because I think when you get rid of non-conference play, like the SEC did, that schedule is just so tough for Texas A&M. You add more SEC games under it than you would normally have. I think that even though they're not playing Clemson this year and some of those, those really tough schedules they had in the past here, it's still, you just look at that SEC and, it's going to be really, really tough for anybody to, go win 8 or 9 games. I just think that's not very realistic with how good that league is. So, will folks around there be happy if it's, closer to 7 or 6 wins? I'm certainly curious to see, but you're definitely right that this is one of those years they have circled where you've got the veteran quarterback now. You've recruited at a high level under Jimbo for sure and developed those guys. So you can't make a ton of excuses. I think that team should be really competitive.
Max, thank you. Appreciate you. Good stuff covering Baylor and all the things from last week and the timeline, and then, of course, all the things since the game was canceled, and hope we have a game to cover on Saturday night along with what you're doing as well. Thanks for your time as always.
I sure hope so. Thanks, guys.
Max Olson, theathletic.com, with us on Thursdays at 4 o'clock. We'll have Mickey Spagnola at the bottom of the hour. We'll also have our high school football pick'em at 4:45 as well. Did you guys see this where Mark Jones, what he said, the ESPN broadcaster?
What an idiot.
Mark Jones says he will refuse police security for the college football game he's calling on Saturday. Saturday at my football game, I'll tell the police officer on duty to protect me. He can just take the day off. I'd rather not have the officer shoot me because he feared for his life because of my black skin or other dummish. I'm not signing my own death certificate.
Has that scenario ever happened in a security?
No.
I mean, that like he's making a pretty wild jump there.
There's also pictures of him smiling and hanging with police officers like outside of a game. And he responded to the person who posted that and was like, "Oh, well, my black friend." He said something along the lines of, like, it was actually a black guy's bag, and I lost it, and he handed it back. Like, he tried to make an excuse for the picture of him with the police officers after he made this comment. It was a dumb comment. He is being way over dramatic. And yes, there are issues in this country, but people like him going out of their way to try to stoke the flames and act like he's like just in danger every time he goes to a college football game. We know that's BS. That's a total BS tweet. He's full of it. And there will be no repercussions, I would think, because he works for ESPN, so that just kind of goes in line with what they believe anyways. But look, for everybody who wants to say that there's a difference in treatment, absolutely, I think that bears out. But to act like him just going to a college football game because he's a black man, that he'd rather not have police because they're just going to abruptly decide to shoot him, like, give me a break, dude. You are making problems way worse by saying something like that.
But by saying that, he has now belittled the experience of everyone who's had a tragedy.
Yep.
Like, Breonna Taylor's experience is now belittled because he is saying these guys who walk me into the stadium and out, and that's all that they do, are going to shoot him.
Well, he said my game too.
Yeah, I mean, so
because we show up to watch.
And at first, when I heard that, I thought like, oh, is he doing a game in Louisville? Are they playing in Louisville this week? Louisville's on the road at Pittsburgh, so that's not even a part of it. Like, I thought it was about maybe that individual police department. It's just that's That's a ridiculous statement that does not help the cause of police reform in the slightest.
No, he is not somebody that's hurting. He's also somebody that nobody could have named before today either. So I guess he got what he wanted with the attention. But he also, because once you make a comment that kind of stokes the flames, people go looking for your activity. And apparently he had liked a tweet about Nick Bosa getting hurt that was making fun of Nick Bosa. And we know Nick Bosa's got a history with, I guess some racial tension or what have you. But, yeah, this same guy who just completely made up a story about the fact that because he's black, he won't want police escorts at games because they'll shoot him is totally ridiculous. And then to go off and like the Nick Bosa injury tweet, like this dude's just he's just a phrase that I don't want to say on the radio, but he's a piece of it. You know what I mean? Like that's not doing anybody any good. And that's just, again, stoking flames. And I feel like he's almost like trying to jump on the bandwagon now in a way as far as like, I don't know how to adequately describe this really, but it's almost like cool now to be on social media and to spout off things like that because it gets you so much attention, and I think that's all he's doing.
I've always liked his work. I've always, he calls the game. He's not one of the top. He's probably among the top 5 or 6 college football broadcasters, but I've always liked his work, and I started reading this, and of course, I don't know exactly. I did see the tweet, and I see the comment, and it's disappointing to me. But at the same time, I know there was some reaction because of yesterday's grand jury decision, and I get that. I understand there's frustration. But at the same time, this does seem to be way over the top.
Way.
And now the question is, like I was watching last night, I had the NBA game on. Once I started hearing about Tyler Hero going nuts, and was it 33 at the time, so it was an ending that the Celtics almost pulled that one out of nowhere. And I saw a highlight with Jalen Rose in the studio, said he was wearing his very best that he possibly could. In fact, if he got fired tonight, in the middle of a highlight clip, he was talking about somebody, and then someone needs to arrest the police officers who killed Breonna Taylor in the middle of a highlight clip. You can have your own Twitter feed and you can say what you want to say, but at the same time,
Look, we're living in a country right now where we definitely need to address some things and get better. But we're living in a country right now where there's a lot of people who are claiming to want to be fighting for better that are intentionally trying to be way more divisive.
All right,
and that's what's going on.
When we come back, this Sikkim 365 Radio will have Mickey Spagnola on the Cowboys.
Here's Mark Jones with police officers. Just I guess before today, they look like they're really a danger to him.
And he's also mentioned that the police escorts allows him to get to games 40, 50 minutes, an hour earlier than others. And he's right. We've been in police escorts before at the Super Bowl, even at bowl games and much more. All right, when we come back, Mickey Spagnola on the Cowboys and 1-1 now playing Seattle, the matchups that are good or the bad, his thoughts about the players who may or may not play on Sunday. High school pick'em at 4:45. Kelly Stoffer, who's going to be the color broadcaster for Baylor and Kansas, will join us at 5 o'clock from ESPNU. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Family owned and family operated for 77 years. Pioneer Still and Pipe, striving to build relationships with customers, and they have for nearly 8 decades, and want everyone to look forward to coming to be at their building inside their huge facility to make sure you get what you want. If you need it, ask them. If they don't have it, they'll find it for you. Offering metal buildings and components, metal roofing, structural pipe from half-inch diameter up to 24-inch diameter, all types of structural steel, including beams, channel iron, flat iron, angle iron, square tubing, and much more, having a very large inventory. And if they don't have it in stock, a certain item you're looking for, they will get it. Helping you with your project, offering suggestions on the design of a metal building or whatever project it might be, and providing a list of reliable contractors if you need them. Whatever they have, whatever experience they have, you can pick their brain. They will help you with it. And also, the largest pipe inventory, giving you the many options in the buildings of a nice fence or an entryway. Several cost-effective options as well, including a large inventory of the #1 quality used pipe. Heavy duty stuff, product. And they'll deliver it and unload it at whatever the site might be and help you with any questions along the way. Open on Saturdays if you can't get there during the week from 8 until noon. Locations in Waco and Bryan. PioneerBoys.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sikkim 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Zerline, little squib. It's got to go 10 yards, and it's close. Zerline may have come through. Who's got it? The Cowboys have it. Do you believe that?
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour, around in the middle of it with Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. And we could sit there and spend this segment and the next 400 segments discussing the ending of the Falcons game. Mickey, I was going to ask this question. We had Brad Sham on Monday. Did anyone ask Zerline how often or how many times he's tried to kick the ball that way and how many times it's worked?
Well, here's the deal. That's the first time he tried it in a game. And the genesis of the kick is, you know how the kicker, the punter, the holder, the deep snapper, they kind of hang out on their own. So I guess one day they were messing around with John Fossil's special teams coach, and they were trying to come up with ways to try to kick the ball to be able to recover it. Because if you think about it, since they changed the rules on the kickoffs where you can't overload one side and your guys don't get a running start, I think last year only 6% of onside kicks were recovered. So they kind of came up with this deal that John Fossil nicknamed the watermelon kick, because you put the ball on the ground, no tee, and it lays there like a watermelon, kind of lopsided, right? And you kick it, and it kind of whirly dervish type of thing. And so they kind of played with it, and Fossil said that, he would mess around with it while they weren't attempting field goals, and maybe tried it 40, 50 times, but only twice each week in 3 weeks that he did it with the actual special teams group in practice, but never in a game. Now, last year, we were reminded that Zerline didn't try it with the Rams, but their punter, Johnny Hecker, tried one of those kicks, and it went out of bounds before they were able to recover it, or they didn't go the 10 yards before it went out of bounds against the Cowboys in that game, by the way. So, that was the first time Zerline tried it in an actual game.
All right, Mickey, so they have a lot of injuries. Tyron Smith, I guess we'll see about on Sunday, and how that goes, and if it continues to kind of be that way for the next few weeks. Cheeto Awuzie is out. That's not good. They don't have a lot of depth there. What do you think they do in the secondary to combat Russell Wilson, who started out the season absolutely on fire with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett?
Well, I'm not sure it's got to be in the secondary as much as it's got to be on the defensive front and get pressure on Russell Wilson. They can't allow him to stand in the pocket the way Matt Ryan did and pick apart your secondary. And I don't care if you have all your guys out there. That's going to create a problem. And then with Russell Wilson, it doubles down because he can create with his feet. So not only do you have to get pressure on him, but you got to do it with a concerted effort where you don't leave gaps. You got to kind of put him in like an umbrella and not let him escape the pocket. So you're almost better off allowing him to, kind of execute the play he wants to execute instead of let him create. In the secondary, it doesn't look like they're going to have Chidobe Awuzie. Anthony Brown was already placed on IR before the game on Sunday. And then on top of that, yesterday, Trayvon Diggs, their rookie who started the first 2 games, did not practice with a shoulder problem. Now, he did practice fully today, so that's encouraging. They'll have him there. And then you got to see what you do. They've got some candidates to start on the other side between Darryl Worley, who started games in this league at corner. He's been in the league 3 or 4 years. And then Brandon Carr, who they had been working at safety, he's a corner, so they can kind of tap into him also. So I think between all those guys and C.J. Goodwin, who, by the way, was the guy that recovered the onside kick, they're going to have to fortify that other cornerback spot. But again, I don't care if you put, 2 Pro Bowlers out there. If they got to cover all day, they're going to have trouble, right? Mm-hmm. And New England had trouble. And they've got, what was it, the defensive player of the year last year in Claiborne?
Gilmore.
You better get pressure on Russell Wilson. Otherwise, you better plan on scoring another 40 points.
All right, so Mickey, they obviously win the game. Can you imagine this week the tension? And there might be some anyway because they're facing Wilson in Seattle. But can you imagine had they not pulled out that whatever that was 0-2 and then Seattle, even with 3 home games in a row coming up, the amount of the odds of history against them that could start 0-3 and make the playoffs?
Yeah, there probably been somebody writing a column saying, "Where's Jason Garrett?" Which is supposed to be funny, but
I laughed.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, these are the Cowboys, right? This ain't supposed to happen. It doesn't matter if it's 2001 or 2020. The Cowboys are supposed to win all their games, especially when you bring in a new coach, because that was supposed to fix anything that ailed them. But again, this is a crazy year and things are different. Nothing's normal, as we found out in the middle of the game. You can trail by 20, but you can still win by 1 with no time on the clock, and having never, ever had the lead for 1 second in the 60 minutes of the game, because when they had the lead, time had expired.
Mickey, do you see the offensive line changing at all? Maybe Brandon Knight moving over to the right, or if Tyron Smith is back, because he seemed to play really well on the left this week.
Yeah, he surprisingly, and actually both guys got off to kind of a slow start. But Brandon Knight came on. You're exactly right. And I don't know, if you want to change a couple things, because, Tyron has not practiced either Wednesday or Thursday. So they basically, the way they were in skeleton drills on the portion we get to watch, were lined up with Brandon Knight left and Terrence Steele to the right. Now, I don't know if he's ready to go on Sunday. Do you say, well, Brandon Knight, you didn't get any snaps on the right side, but we're going to put you over there anyway. And he might, because that's where he's used to playing. So that could be something that they have to kind of play with. But the other thing, that they also have to figure out, and they kind of did it at the last minute, they moved Alex Light, who they signed to the practice squad, to the 53-man roster or 55-man roster, however you want to look at it, as the swing tackle, because not only is Lale Collins not there, but neither is the guy they thought was the swing tackle, Cam Irving. So maybe Terrence Steele or Brandon Knight end up being the swing tackle in the game if Tyron Smith can start.
Craig, anything else? Paul, anything else? All right, Mick, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time. Mickey Spagnola with us on Thursdays at 4:30, DallasCowboys.com, bringing some of the insight that we get each and every day on the Cowboys, and they play Seattle. It's a road game in Seattle, and it just feels different.
But no crowd, so that's
especially in Seattle.
Yeah,
and then again, Seattle's that Seattle game. Sometimes AT&T Stadium hasn't been a home field advantage. Maybe now it will be after what happens.
You can hear Russell Wilson throwing the ball over your head.
Yeah,
so much clearer.
Just look at this game, though. At 0-2, and then at Seattle, no matter if there's a road atmosphere or not, would be just almost deadly. And they found a way to figure it out. They always seem to get one or two of those about every 2 or 3 years. One a year, honestly. And they did. That game was dead to rights, and somehow they won the game. And you got to give them credit. They kept firing away, 40-39, they win the game. All right, when we come back to high school football, pick them 20 games. We have a couple from around the state as well. There's one game already that we know of that was canceled, so we won't pick that one. That's the La Vega game against All Saints out of Fort Worth. But our pick 'em, update everything with you on that. Then Telly Stoffer will join us from ESPN at 5. Jeff Hume, head coach at Midway, as they have a scrimmage against Round Rock this week, kind of a game atmosphere. And then also we'll hear today from Sam Bradshaw and all of his knowledge on Baylor KU at 5:30. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Is it time for a new house for you? You're looking for one? You're trying to sell the house you're in? Do you have a house that you need to sell? You need to contact my good friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty, and let them be your go-to source as you search for that perfect home. Just give Lance a call, 254-214-3713, or online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com. There are so many things you have to deal with when buying a house. You want a realtor who's going to listen to you, who hears what you want in that dream home, and can add their own ideas and help you find not only the dream home, but the dream home you may not even realize that would have been perfect for you and your family. That's Lance Donaldson. He's a great man. He's a great realtor. You're going to have fun going to houses to look with him. He's just great to be around, and that's what you want. It's somebody you're going to have to do business with, and really mostly the biggest financial decision of your life is buying a house and selling a house. So you want somebody who's going to ease you through that process, and that's Lance Donaldson. 254-214-3713 or online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7, and personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Sikkim 365 Radio's coverage of Texas high school football is sponsored by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans for over 50 years. J.D. Power, highest customer satisfaction among auto insurers in Texas, 9 years in a row.
All right, Pick'em coming up in just a second. I did receive this from Brian Furukawa. He's from Redlands, California. Remember, he was a part of the show. That's where Dave Aranda played high school. That's where he went to high school, and he sent me a picture. I had mentioned to him, I was going to callers on a particular day get certain certificates for something if they do call in. I sent him a Sikkim 365 T-shirt. I know that the camera can't zoom too much in on that. He and his daughter took a picture. He sent that to me. So we have a Sikkim 365 T-shirt out in Redlands, California, which is the hometown of Baylor head coach Dave Aranda. Tomorrow, if you like to gamble, if you like to bet on high school, or excuse me, not high school, but college, some guys do, college and pro games, Lee Sterling will join us tomorrow with his segment from ParamountSports.com at 4:25. Okay, Colt Barber. on Sikkim 365. I know it's in the premium, but I think it's a kind of a nice update. I know this is a premium section up. Cole Barber saying that based on from what they can tell so far, the pacing, that things are encouraging when it comes to this week. Now, again, there's still tomorrow morning that 8 a.m. test, the antigen test. Who knows what can happen with that. Now, all right, pick 'em. Got a little separation from you guys now after last week, and there needs to be a little push here.
Well, look, everyone eventually shows their truth. Like, Craig's going to make a run eventually and make you scared. I thought I had a couple more weeks in me before I started to just be bad at this. But, it is what it is. I've gone back to the drawing board. We'll try a different strategy.
I think it was Brian that got his first wake-up call as far as not having a great week, and you kind of you get so down in the dumps when you have a bad week. So I think he experienced a little, not that it was real bad or anything, but just not what he had quite done the first couple weeks.
13-7, he even called it bloodbath.
The malaise that just falls over your whole body.
Yeah. All right. So here we are. We have some now bigger boy games. You have the 5As and 6As joining the fray. And we start with this one. Paul, you're first, then Craig, and then I'll go third. And then we're going to do this. We go backwards like we do at a draft, okay? Mm-hmm. Just to change it up. Longview and Temple at AT&T Stadium in Arlington.
Is that backwards, or don't we normally start with those?
What do you mean?
No, you usually start with
Did you say backwards? Didn't we go?
No, I'm talking about I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Then I'll pick 4. And
Gotcha. Okay.
All right.
All
so,
right,
Paul.
I'm going to go. I talked to Scott Stewart today. I'm going to pick Longview. I think just a little bit much, but I think Temple, they're going to have a great year.
I'm taking the Lobos.
Yeah, I am too. All right, Craig. Westlake was supposed to play Highland Park. We know that game was canceled. And Armstrong, they're not going to play for a couple more weeks against Clemens.
I'm going to take Westlake.
Yeah, I do too. Paul?
Yep, Westlake.
All right, this is the one that is absolutely flip a coin. In fact, the next 2 or 3 are that way. Shadow Creek with Kyron Drones, the quarterback who's committed to Baylor, and a very good team that won the state title, against another team that's won back-to-back North Shores of Power. I'm going to take Shadow Creek to win the game. Paul?
I'll take Shadow Creek as well.
I'm taking North Shore.
Okay. Paul, Craig.
One thing about Shadow Creek, are they not moving up a division?
Yeah, no, they are. You're right.
That was kind of when I was balancing it out.
Yeah, North Shore's North Shore and Duncanville, Westlake. That
But that should be a great game. And Kyron Drones,
Arlington Lamar home against Trinity, and I'm going to take Lamar. Craig,
I'm taking Lamar.
Paul,
I'll take Lamar.
All right. You know what their mascot is?
Arlington Lamar? No idea.
It's
Vikings.
Yeah.
All right, this is you, Craig. Shoemaker at Shoemaker's home against San Angelo Central.
I really have no idea about this game. I'm going to go with San Angelo Central, though.
I'm going to go with Shoemaker. Oh, Paul, it's your turn.
I'll go San Angelo Central. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to go with Shoemaker. Toby Foreman, this is like year 3 or 4 for him. I'm going to take Shoemaker. All right, Paul, your turn. College Station home against Hutto.
I'll take College Station.
Craig?
College Station.
Me too. Craig, your turn. Timberview and Lake Ridge had a great game up in Mansfield.
Yeah, that was a hard one to pick. I think I'm going to go with Lake Ridge.
I would normally, but some reason I looked at what some of the people are like. Man, I'm going to take Timberview. Just I guess I already wrote it down. Paul,
I'll take Lake Ridge.
All right, now this is 1, 2, 3. Back to you. This is Craig. Your turn. No, it's my turn. Brownwood at home against Wiley, Abilene Wiley, not Wiley the Pirates up near Dallas and Plano, but Abilene Wiley, and I'll take Brownwood. Craig.
Brownwood.
Paul? Okay.
Isn't it true that
they got to Paul Underwood? So
Wiley hasn't played a game, or they've only played like one game, and I think Brownwood's played 4 already. So that's got to make a difference, right?
And it's like Carthage, of course. Nobody wants to play them, and they haven't played, but like maybe one game early. All right, this is Craig. Your turn. Burnett at Robinson.
I'm gonna go Burnett.
All right, Paul.
Burnett.
I'll take Burnett as well. Robinson did get a win last week to win against that they needed against Fairfield. All right, let's see here. This is me, China Spring at home against Mejia. I think this will be a very high-scoring game, but China Spring with so much offense and better defense, I'll take the Cougars. Craig?
Take the Cougars.
Yeah, it'll be probably they might score less points just because Mejia is going to hold the ball for a while, but I still think China Spring wins.
All right, Craig, this is your game. Academy at Lorena.
I have no idea.
Academy's 4-0.
Yeah.
Lorena just beat Madisonville.
Yeah.
I think they're still a little bit down with attrition, but it was a nice win last week for them.
Yeah, I'm just going to go Academy.
I'll go Academy.
I'll go with Lorena.
See, I knew he was trying to set me up. Oh, they're a little bit down with attrition. And no, go ahead. It's fine.
I was actually
It doesn't
supposed to pick before you.
Okay, well, still, I'm going to go with. I'm not going to
Chris
change.
Lancaster's 4-0.
I'm not going to, even though Chris Lancaster said my name wrong on our liner. I'm not going to pick.
What did he say,
against him.
Catalina?
No, it was Catalini. I got to go back and listen to it. But
all right,
I played it a couple times just because he put forth the effort.
All right, Rockdale at McGregor. Paul.
I'll take Rockdale.
I'm a little bit worried about the physical game they were in last week, but I'm still taking Rockdale.
I'll take Rockdale as well. This is Craig Rogers at Buffalo, and I have not made a pick on this game because this is a toss-up.
I'm going to go Buffalo.
I am too. Their quarterback, Hoffman, had a big game. They're big play receivers. I will take Buffalo.
Yeah, I'll go take Buffalo.
All right. This is my turn. Lexington at Franklin, and I'm going to take Franklin. They seem to have righted the ship after that early loss to Lorena. Craig?
Franklin.
Paul?
Sure, let's go. Let's make it 3.
All right. Paul, this is Craig, it's your turn. Bosqueville at Rio Vista.
Bosqueville.
Rio Vista's 4-0, but I'm going to go with Bosqueville. All right,
but
Paul.
And I know that Riesel's not what they were a year ago where they're better, but Bosqueville beat the tar out of them.
Yeah, like 52-26.
Yeah, I mean, Bosqueville's got some offense to them.
Luke Bradshaw, Paul's son, played well quarterback.
Somebody, maybe as the quarterback at Riker, got an offer today.
Jake Boozer?
Yes.
Boozer?
Yeah, Jake Boozer got an offer today, and I need to find it, but that just reminded me.
Yeah, that's good to know. And you know, he's gotten a bunch. Ivy League, he's made trips up to the Boston area to visit some of the Ivy League schools. Of course, Boozer's Jewelers, one of our great sponsors of Sikkim 365 Radio. Hubbard at Dawson. This is, I think this is me. I'll take Dawson. Craig?
Dawson.
Paul?
Dawson.
God, Roger Masters is going to be so mad at us. All right, Paul, this is you. Centerville at Bremond. You were just going
to easy. Wait.
This is another pick'em. A lot of them are.
I'll take Bremond.
Craig?
Oh, I'll go Centerville, I guess.
I'll take Centerville as well. All right, this is Craig. Holland at Hearn.
Taking Holland.
Holland.
Yeah, in spite of the many family members I do have down in Hearn, I will take Holland.
Final game, Milford at Jonesboro. I'll take Jonesboro.
The Jones.
Yeah, Jonesboro.
Okay, all right. We don't have too many. We've got a handful.
What do we have missing that's different, I guess? Because it just seemed like we had a lot similar.
You have the North Shore, which is probably the smarter pick, and both of us have Shadow Creek. You have San Angelo Central. I have Shoemaker. You guys have Lake Ridge. I have Timberview. You both have Academy. There's a lot of differences. I have Lorena. Let's see here. Paul has Bremond. You and I both have Centerville. So that's about right. There's like 4 or 5 games.
Look, it doesn't ultimately.
Stop.
It doesn't matter what I have. I mean, like I'm out of this thing already. I'm trying to
here's
to get
the thing,
better.
Paul. The season's longer, so there's more time.
You got games going into January.
If you just hang around and you don't get too far behind. Even if it's like 1 week, it's like 5 back. You can go on a 16-4, and he loses 6 games and he gained 2. So
look, I'm not Tim Robbins in Shawshank Redemption. I'm not going to have hope.
Well, it's week 5, so everybody's still kind of in the thick of it. But who would y'all have taken in La Vega Fort Worth All Saints?
I would have taken La Vega.
Yeah, me too.
I still would have taken La Vega in that one. I talked to Don Hyde. What was it? Yesterday, went by there and visited with him, and appreciate some of the local schools that are helping us out with some of the props on the set that we'll have for tomorrow. All right. It is 4:56. We will have in the 5 o'clock hour Kelly Stauffer, the former NFL quarterback, Colorado State. He'll be a part of the broadcast tomorrow night with Baylor and Kansas. And we'll also today at 5:20, Jeff Hume of Midway. And then Sam Bradshaw breaks down the X's and O's, the schemes of Baylor, Kansas. Armstrong Sims runs the mothership, and this is Sikkim 365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway and Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions, here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps. Convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. They have instant issue debit cards, which is a big deal for me because I've got one that's expiring here in another couple of weeks. So I won't have to wait forever to get it. In fact, I'm kind of expecting it in the mail here in the next couple of days. It's fantastic. They have first deposit where you can deposit a check using your smartphone camera. Just snap a picture on the front and back of your check, choose your account, and deposit on their app. And they've got great people there, whether it's Monty Hulse, Randall Crawford, Sloan Keel, Joe Barrow, Mackie Bonner. Mackie Bonner helped me with a loan a few years ago. Jan Coleman, Link Harris helped me get my home loan. Rhonda Crawford, Brian Hand, Lisa Ogletree, and, of course, our old friend Dan Ingham. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations to serve you right here at home.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who, as children, had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old, and they come every 6 months, and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Dodge is the highest-ranked brand in initial quality according to J.D. Power. Now at Allen Samuels, get special offers on Dodge cars and SUVs. Dodge Charger SXTs are now available with 2.9% financing for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Dodge Journey has 2.9 for 72 or choose up to $4,750 in cash and subprime offers. Performance. Dodge. From Allen Samuels.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Ebner to the outside, cuts it back, a first down run. Ebner sheds another tackler. Takes it in. 34-yard touchdown run for Tristan Ebner.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, this 5 o'clock hour, 3 different guests. Jeff Hume of Midway in the next segment. Also today at 5:30, Sam Bradshaw breaks down Baylor and Kansas in his particular way. But Kelly Stoffer, former NFL quarterback, Colorado State, now a part of ESPN, will handle the game with Roy Philpott tomorrow. The game Saturday. We want it to be tomorrow to get it done. Kelly, I asked Roy this. I said, did you guys win some kind of a bet against Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt that you get to do games, and so far they've done nothing? Or they had the one they had to change? It's been a bizarre start, man.
Oh, my goodness. You can't make most of this stuff up. And I did have kind of a agreement in the past with Coach Aranda that when he became head coach, I would call his first game. And we had to work really hard to make that happen, but hopefully here we are.
So it's all you, Kelly. We know now.
I'm telling
all you working behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm calling Dana Holgerson right now. He will be thrilled to hear that.
This had nothing to do with the global pandemic. I guarantee you that.
So you've been able to kind of digest it? I know you got meetings and tomorrow and much more. Your thoughts of as you get ready for this game of what you expect Baylor with Larry Fedora, the new offensive coordinator, and then, of course, Aranda, Roberts and company with the defense that lost 9 starters.
Yeah, I mean, Baylor's side of the equation is going to be intriguing. You know, it's kind of like Christmas. We get to all open the packages and see what's in it when we're all together on Saturday. And, first of all, I'm a big fan of Coach Aranda, and it was only a matter of time before he was head coach somewhere. And we know his resume on the defensive side. So I find it really intriguing that Ron Roberts is going to be reunited with Aranda, clear back from their Delta State days when they were drawing up some of this stuff that we're seeing now, clear back then when Roberts was the head coach and he hired some guy named Dave Aranda and as his first DC job. And philosophically, they were aligned kind of from the beginning. And that's what you see now. You fast forward to these guys coming together. And defensively, it's what's really on the cutting edge of college football on the defensive side. And I think it's going to play really well in the Big 12. It's similar to the kind of stuff you're seeing out of an Iowa State, and even Kansas will do some of this on Saturday with a 3-man defensive line. And the best description I heard of this defensive approach is really Coach Aranda started playing really offense from the defensive side of the ball. And what that means is typically as an offensive guy, you manipulate the defense. You try to dictate the terms. The defense always knows kind of where and when and what is going to take place. And you get to snap the ball. And so defense is reactionary. Aranda's trying to flip the script on that a little bit, and he's been really successful at doing it. The down linemen are run stuffers between the tackles. They also somewhat are blockers to some extent in pass rush situations. And then the back 8 guys are athletic guys, and they're versatile guys, and they can get after the quarterback. And I really, really like watching this scheme. And so it's just a matter of the names and the faces. We know, Bernard is a guy that's going to have massive numbers. I mean, he did last year, but he plays the middle linebacker role in this defense that, I mean, he's going to be all over the place. He's going to be the 4th guy in a rush many times. And he's going to have, I think, a very, very big year. And that's saying a lot considering his year last year. But, the names and faces elsewhere it's going to be kind of displayed when we see him for the first time. And then on the offensive side, the thing that I think Dave Aranda did, even though he waited a long time to be head coach, I think his staff is exactly right. I think as a defensive-minded head coach, you kind of consider 2 things. What did I not like to play against? And then what can people add that I don't have? And I think he finds a lot of that in Larry Fedora. The head coaching experience, I think schematically playing a lot of things that Dave Aranda doesn't like to see as a defensive play caller. And I think it fits the personnel that you have in Waco currently. So I really like what Aranda put together staff-wise, and now we just have to see how it looks out of the gate here on Saturday.
So Larry Fedora plus Charlie Brewer, what kind of offense do you think that means for the Bears this year compared to last year?
Well, in many ways, it's going to be, 180 degrees the opposite direction. Last year, it was more of a pro-style approach. Matt Rule is a guy that, with a defensive mind, tough-mindedness. It all starts about, setting the table with a physical run game that really permeates, that attitude kind of permeates your whole program. And I think Charlie was asked to be in the pocket a ton. I think that's why he took a beating a lot, couldn't stay healthy at times. And really it was run the ball sometimes when you even felt it was beating your head against the wall, because the philosophy is that's going to pay dividends in the second half and deep into the fourth quarter where you kind of wear people out physically. And Larry Fedora really hits the ground running in the sense that it's what is the defense doing, and we're going to take advantage of whatever we see, that old philosophy, whatever the defense gives you. And I honestly think that Charlie is going to thrive in this system. I think it's very close to what he did back at Lake Travis. It's very similar in a lot of ways. And so Larry Fedora's resume, going way back where he started some of this stuff, clear back at, option principles at Air Force and then, drawing more things up at Middle Tennessee State when he first started calling plays. And, what's the answer against option principles when people put everyone on the line of scrimmage and load the box? What's our answer to that? And so you're going to see spread, you're going to see tempo, you're going to see a heavy dose of run pass option elements. And I think with Charlie's experience and his attention to detail as far as preparation, I think those guys are going to be in lockstep from the get-go. I think Charlie's going to have a big year, but offensive football comes down to the line of scrimmage. And so I know there are 3 starters being replaced on the line of scrimmage. And when I start watching tape, just like I did with this game, I start with the line of scrimmage and I ask, secondly, do you have a quarterback that can win? And then you kind of move back and out from there. And I think that's the big question. Offensive line-wise, these guys didn't protect Charlie very well last year. Now you replace 3 starters, and they're test driving a new system for the first time. And so that, to me, is the biggest question, is Kansas will put some pressure elements out there. They're a 3-man defensive line themselves defensively, and so they're going to present some looks that will force Baylor to communicate on the offensive line of scrimmage with 3 new starters that, quite frankly, didn't communicate all that well last year. And so that's what I'm waiting to see offensively, is how that plays out. I think there are playmakers. I really like what Baylor is going to present backfield-wise. I think with Lovett and Ebner, I think both of those guys are going to fit exactly into what Fedora wants to do in the run game. Those guys can be split out and be a 4th wide receiver at times. You'll have them both in the game at other times, and I think that's going to play well. And I think with Thornton, kind of as the alpha receiver, a big-bodied guy that Fedora loves to have, and you can match him up. I don't know about tight end-wise. Fedora likes those guys. He had some really good kind of NFL hybrid-type tight ends at North Carolina that he loved to use in 11 personnel with, 1 back, 1 tight end, 3 wide outs. So that's the intriguing thing for me. Fedora, I think, can do a lot of things, but it's based on his personnel. And I don't think any of us really know how that specifically fits with what he wants to do. But I think the parts are there for Baylor to be really good offensively right out of the box this year.
What sense did you get from Kansas and Les Miles, or what sense have you been able to get as far as the loss to open up the season a couple of weeks ago against Coastal Carolina, and just kind of how they've licked their wounds and moved on from that?
Yeah, we don't talk with Kansas until tomorrow morning, but from everything that I've read and what I've watched on tape, I mean, I can draw my own conclusions for sure. And that to me was a really tough matchup for them. I think Coastal Carolina, first of all, is a pretty decent team, and they're athletic. They play, kind of their concepts on both sides of the ball weren't really a great fit for Kansas. I think with a new play caller, even though, a new quarterback, Dearman, the play caller, is an interesting cat that we know he started about midway last year and kind of mixed results. I think great results right out of the box. But the bottom line is they still lost 5 out of the 6 games that he called plays in. And so when you started the new year, you knew you were going to have a new quarterback, and the quarterback from a year ago, Stanley, I think really took to this system immediately. The close, almost upset to Texas, and then they beat Texas Tech, and they played well at times. But they just, they started this year they played McVitie, I think, in the first 3 series, and then Miles Kendrick in the next 2 series, and they had 3 turnovers in their first 5 series. But it was little things that are incredibly correctable, and that's what I expect in week 2. It was ball placement, so it's a tipped ball interception. It was ball placement on the back shoulder instead of the front shoulder, and so the receiver, got squared up on and fumbled the ball after he started to run when it should have been, down the sideline for a big play, and then it's a tipped ball at the line of scrimmage on a little out route that should be a gimme, and all of a sudden you're down 21-0, and that to me was the game. So offensively, I think they're going to be a pretty good challenge for Baylor, test driving this new defense. Defensively, I have questions about Kansas. I think that's why I think Charlie Brewer and this new system with Fedora probably put quite a few points on the board. And to me, the question becomes whether Kansas can keep up with that offensively or not and do some of those little details much, much better in their second game than they did the first.
You played the position of quarterback at Colorado State, played in the NFL as well. If you have 3 quarterbacks, does that mean you don't have one?
Typically, yes. I definitely think offenses work better when they hear one guy's voice, and the receivers are catching one guy's ball, and even the footwork and the ball handling with running backs, it's different from one quarterback to another, and so absolutely, and I actually think that Miles Kendrick is going to be the guy that comes out there first. And again, we haven't talked to Kansas yet, but I'm just making decisions based on what I see on tape. And I think Miles Kendrick is more of a dual threat guy. I think his escapability gives them a needed dimension when they're a little questionable on the line of scrimmage. And he came in and gave them a little something that McVitie didn't give them. And I think that's going to matter. So I would expect number 3, Kendrick, to be the first guy out there. But we know that the first quarterback that Dearman has recruited was Jalen Daniels, who he actually, by the way, found as a offensive analyst at Texas the year before. And that's a pretty good advantage when you're watching tape for one Big 12 team and then you get a new job, and the first guy you actually get to recruit is one of the guys you saw working for Texas. So he was able to get him to Lawrence, and I know that long term that Jalen Daniels is probably the guy that Brent Dearman actually wants pulling the trigger, but it may be a little bit too early for the game we're going to see on Saturday.
Kelly Stoffer's going to be a part of the broadcast with Roy Philpott, ESPNU, Baylor in Kansas, 6:30 on Saturday at McLean Stadium.
Kelly, what's it been like for you guys, when you have to, get a flight, wait things out in this first couple of weeks, waiting for good news or bad news?
Yeah, it's been bizarre to say the least. And the reality is Roy and I were supposed to be one of the 6 crews that were going to call games from our home studios. So there were going to be 4 ESPN groups that were on the road, most of the time. And there were going to be the next 6 crews that were literally going to be calling plays from home. And it just so happens that our crew was one of them. They had some technical difficulties in some of the things setting us up and what have you. But the bottom line is, so for the first 2 weeks and including this game and then next week, we're going to be on the road. And it's just crazy for a lot of reasons. First of all, I live on a ranch in northwest Nebraska, and I basically hadn't seen anyone since February. and so I had mentally conceded that I wasn't going on the road. And so when our assignments start to come out and we start to get more information, and Roy and I are going on the road at least to begin with, I had to kind of consider how that was going to be. So literally last week was my first time on a plane in forever, in airports, hotels, and all those things. And there was a lot about it that I didn't like, to be perfectly blunt, and I would prefer not to be doing it. I think there are things that are safe. I think ESPN has done a great job of keeping us safe out on the road and in ways that you can't even imagine, things that they've had to consider. And so I'm good with it. I'm going to be good with staying in my home office calling a game in about 2 weeks if it works out that way. But then wondering if you're going to have a game. We've been fortunate, and we haven't had one delayed yet. And I know it's only Thursday, and we know it happened to Baylor about this time, 7 days ago. And that's a little bit strange, but not nearly as strange for the programs, for the coaches and players that have prepared for multiple teams. And but some of the things to share with you guys that I've seen that I don't think fans can really wrap their mind around. Players and coaches are all about the regiment and the routine of preparation. And you haven't had anything that resembles normal for those guys for several months now. I mean, going clear back to when this started, the abnormal offseason, no spring, OTAs in the summer were crazy. And Baylor, in Baylor's situation, you're learning a new system. Coaches are learning new players and vice versa, and X's and O's. And Charlie Brewer has 40 starts under his belt, and as a senior, he has to learn a new system with the global pandemic going on. I mean, this stuff is insanely difficult. But some of the other things are, the at-home or on the road situation. I think there's a tremendous advantage right now for teams that have to go on the road and play for 2 reasons. One is the first thing that you do when you go on the road is by your performance, you want to take the crowd out of the game. Well, now you have that going into the game because there is no crowd. And so the home team then has to deal with this odd situation where there isn't anything that they can do to create energy in their fans. And so you have to manufacture that somewhat intrinsically. And what I have found so far, it's really more difficult for the home team to do that than it is for the visiting team to just receive the byproducts of that not being in place. And so I think that's a really, really interesting part of this matchup is Baylor typically has a huge home field advantage in Lane Stadium. In Macklin Stadium. So now it's how are those players going to respond? The bottom line is nobody knows. We asked Charlie that, and he said, quite frankly, you don't know until you experience it. And And so some of those things are crazy, and in some ways it just adds to the intrigue of what we have to deal with. But I will be very, very happy for everybody involved, all of us that cover this game, let alone those that are playing it, when we don't have to think about these things anymore.
Kelly, hope we have you again later down the year at some point. You do another Baylor game, we'll have you on again if that's good. Also, go back into the days when you were in college and also in the NFL and what you've done since. You even had a stint as a high school coach. We appreciate your time. Thanks for responding to me earlier this week, and hope to see you on Saturday.
All right, guys, it's been my pleasure. Look forward to catching up with you again. Thank you.
That's Kelly Stoffer again. He played at Colorado State. He's from, as you mentioned, Nebraska. That's where he's been most of the last 7 months or so. Colorado State. He was a first-round pick in 1987, but he couldn't agree with a contract with the Cardinals. Sat out the year, and eventually they traded him to Seattle for 3 draft picks, and he was behind Dave Craig and I think Jeff Kemp as well.
Yeah, but he was the last first-round pick of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes.
And they moved to Arizona the next year.
His first game he started, and we can get into this next time, with Seattle. He had a game like the most yards passing in a game when he was with Seattle at one point. He and Ray Philpott will handle the game Saturday on ESPNU. Coming up next, Midway football. They've had to wait around. They still don't have an official game till next week, and that, of course, is against, who is it, South Grand Prairie. They're playing against Round Rock this week in a scrimmage, so to speak. And Jeff Hume about the delays in their season as they get started. And then Sam Bradshaw, S11 on the website, will break down KU and Baylor. And this is Sikkim 365 Radio. What do you have in the back of your pickup truck? And is it protected from the elements? For example, the sun, the dust, the rain, and the weather changing so that it's kind of sometimes nasty and then eventually gets a little bit cooler. How about making sure you protect whatever's in the bed of the back of the bed of your pickup truck? You can do that by dropping by Pickup Outfitters, or you can go online and shop at createacommotion.com. They have covers to fit whatever pickup truck bed you have. Retractable, one-piece lids, hard and soft roll-up, hard folding, removable, paint to match as well, giving you privacy, extra storage space, shelter from the elements, as I mentioned, and good flat, that's what matters, security to make sure that your pickup truck and your bed is secure. Professionally installed, Pickup Outfitters lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. Serving Waco for more than 20 years, Jay Errett and Pickup Outfitters. It's at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trust, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Hi, this is Jeff Hume, head football coach at Midway High School, and you're listening to Sikkim 365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
This segment with Midway Panthers football coach Jeff Hume is sponsored by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine, Automatic Chef, Bird Colgin Ford, Barrera's Landscape and Nursery, Petty Clinic Low T, Halo Athletic Center, First National Bank of Central Texas, Camille Johnson Realtors.
Jeff, you guys waited forever, obviously the delays, things that had to deal with, and now you get a scrimmage in, and then I guess you get what is kind of a quasi-scrimmage, non-district game with Round Rock. Your thoughts about where you are right now?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great scrimmage/preseason type game. We're treating it like a game. We're going to play 4 quarters. A little bit abbreviated. We're going to go 10-minute quarters, and everything will be live but special teams. And I liked where we were from the Shoemaker scrimmage. Saw some things that I liked what we were doing, saw some things we need to correct and get better at. But that's why they call it a scrimmage. And I think the Round Rock game will be even better. They appear to be bigger than Shoemaker in size, physical, so that'll give us some issues we got to deal with, but I think that's good considering what we're about to go into with our district.
Well, you're an offensive line guy, and of course we all know that's where it starts, but that's something that you always methodically, sometimes you have more back than others, sometimes you got to replace a bunch. You've done both of that. Where are you with where you are there? Because I know that's the big deal to you.
Well, it is, and we've got some good kids coming back. Micah Cohen's full strength back from where he got hurt last year, which is a big plus for us. He's the leader of that bunch, and we've got 3 seniors and 2 juniors right now that are going to be our starting 5, and I like where we are. Like I said, they're coming together. They're a lot closer knit group. They've gotten closer faster than some offensive lines we've had in the past, and so they got to be able to put it together. They did some good things the other night, and they let some things happen that they shouldn't have. And so that's what we got to tighten down a little bit and get better at. But, I really like where Coach Edson and Coach Villarreal have our line going right now.
You played some young guys last year. Obviously, you have a bunch of seasoning players who have played. But you had some younger players on defense and really on the, Gibson, the wide receiver who gives you the big playability. You had a couple of young running backs as well. Do you like kind of the youth that you have that at least has some seasoning?
Well, yeah, I mean that's always the gamble you take when you play some sophomores is hey, they're going to get bounced around a little bit as sophomores, but when they come back as juniors, they ought to be seasoned, and we are. I mean, we got
like defensively, Zacoby and Gus Hamlin were both sophomores that started for us at inside and outside linebacker, and Jalen at sophomore receiver. Demir, sophomore running back, got some carries last year, and he looks good right now running. He runs like a big back, which he is. And so, those four right there give us a big boost with being juniors, but also, they got some great experience last year as sophomores.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
It's time to stretch your legs. Jeep Adventure Days are here at Allen Samuels. Get special financing on the granddaddy of Jeeps, Jeep Gladiator. Now at 3.9 for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Grab hold of Jeep's rugged subcompact, Jeep Renegade with 0% for 72. No payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $5,750 in cash. Let's get going with amazing deals from your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Sam Bradshaw of Sikkim365.com.
All right, here we go. Big 12 this weekend. Kansas State at Oklahoma, 11 o'clock kick. Iowa State at TCU. That's intriguing at 12:30. West Virginia at Oklahoma State at 2:30. Then Texas Tech, 2:30 in Lubbock, Kansas at Baylor Saturday at 6:30. Sam Bradshaw with us on Sikkim 365 Radio, S11 on Sikkim365.com, breaking down Baylor in Kansas. So, Sam, thanks for your time. We just had Kelly Stauffer on. He's going to do the color. Kansas has all these different quarterbacks. Does that mean they don't have one?
Well, I think they're figuring that out right now. They've got a couple different options. Miles Kendrick's been around for a couple years. Isn't the biggest guy, but he's probably got the best feel and experience in their passing game of the three. And then they got Thomas McVitie, who's a former consensus 4-star, who went to Pitt, then went to junior college, then came to Kansas. And he's only big, but he can also run really well, and he's got a big arm. And then they got a freshman kid that was recruited by the offensive coordinator that they think is a real good fit for what they want to do. I don't think they're sold on any one of them, and it wouldn't surprise me to see the young kid get an option here over the next couple weeks, next couple games for them, just so they can hopefully nail that down. Because they graduated a fifth-year senior from last year who was really good for them, but they haven't been able to find stability since.
All right, Sam, what does Kansas do well?
Their offense it's not the same as what Briles did at Baylor, but one thing it has in common is it's built on trying to run the ball and doing run-pass options off of it. That way, if they have a successful run game, they can get smaller receivers or second running backs or whoever it might be in space, have a numbers advantage. That is, when they're doing things correctly, that's where their strength lies. They've got a number of guys at the skill positions, whether it's Andrew Parchment or whether it's Kwame Lassiter or Stephon Robinson or most notably Puka Williams, that once you get them in space, those guys can make some plays. The problem this year is they lost a lot of linemen. They lost that fifth-year quarterback, and finding adequate replacements at those spots has been a bit of a challenge so far.
How much do you think we see from this Ron Roberts defense early on? Do you think this is something that as they play more, it opens up more? Do you think we're going to kind of see the full meal deal, especially with this extra month of preparation that they've had? And how do they go about attacking this Kansas offense?
Well, I think you'll see the basics of what he wants to do. I definitely think you're going to see some stuff held back to a certain degree, both from the standpoint of while you've gotten a little more practice time with the game cancellations, you were still starting from behind given that you didn't have a spring, and the install has been affected based on that. But then also just holding things in reserve because you know you're probably going to have tougher games going forward. One thing I do think they'll do a good job of is attacking Kansas's protections with simulated pressures or curves where you're not necessarily bringing the house, but you're bringing four guys, but you're doing it creatively to get the matchups you want. And for instance, against Kansas, their two main running backs are both kind of smaller guys. So if they're involved in pass protection at all, I could easily see Roberts and Aranda trying to put a big linebacker on them and make those little guys show that they can hold up in pass protection against somebody much bigger than them coming barreling down at full speed.
When they played Coastal Carolina, Puka Williams had 12 carries, 67 yards, and he had 1,000 yards the two previous years. We know how explosive he can be, but he didn't have any yards receiving. Why would they not use him more in the passing game like Baylor uses Ebner?
Well, there's a couple different things. If you're going to do that, you need to be able to protect. And if your protection is struggling and you want him in as your only running back, well, he's one of the only guys that you could potentially add to the protection if you want to have four receivers out there. And then secondly, if it's run-pass options, do you want him to be the one potentially carrying the ball for you, or do you want him to be the one potentially catching a screen pass if you have two running backs on the field? You know, it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, because both of them have very similar strengths, Williams and Gardner. Obviously, Williams is a lot more explosive than Gardner, but they're both good at similar things when they're on the field. So it would be good for them to get them involved that way, but it's always a try.
Sam, for Baylor, coming out, obviously we haven't seen them, but how concerned are you for them of coming out rusty, and can Kansas jump on that? Do they have the ability to jump if Baylor is rusty?
I think Kansas has the ability to put points up in a hurry. if they can get some precision execution out of it, because I do think those skill guys, in particular Puka Williams, but those receivers as well, their backup running back had a 61-yarder this past week, and I think he rattled off a 4+1 in Big 12 play last year. They've got guys that can make some plays for them. But what happened against Coastal Carolina is Coastal did a good job of denying the big play to them, so they had to execute over and over and over again. And then they had a fumble, and then they had a receiver have a pass hit him in the hands, and it was a tip drill interception. Then they had a quarterback force something in instead of handing off in an RPO, and that got picked. They had 3 turnovers in the first half, and that was 30% of their drives the entire game. And then defensively, they couldn't get Coastal Carolina off the field. However, Kansas was mounting a comeback, and until a referee took away an onside kick from them, there was a very good chance that game was going to come down to the wire, even with all the issues Kansas had. So to a certain degree, you understand that they've got the skill guys, much like most of the Big 12, to make things interesting in a hurry. And a lot of those guys were the ones that made Texas sweat in Austin. Granted, you've got a different quarterback and you've got a much weaker offensive line, but a lot of those guys are back, and you have to keep them under wraps.
Sam, when it comes to Charlie Brewer, I mean, we've heard a lot about how he's going to work in this new offense, but specifically with running the football. How many carries do you think, design carries obviously, do you think we see from Brewer per game, and how do they go about doing that where he's got a little bit more protection than he has the last couple of years?
I think they're going to try and minimize it unless it's absolutely necessary. So, for instance, against Kansas, I don't think it's going to be too much of the offense unless they need it to be. Mm-hmm. If, for instance, if a bunch of linemen were out and you were struggling, I would see it being more of the game plan. But I don't think it's going to be anything like Colin Klein or anything where it's upper teens carries per game. I think you're going to see anywhere between 5 and 10 carries a game when it's all said and done. You average it out.
And the part of it is that Fedora's trying to put this system together, right, that he gets the ball out quicker, which might cut down on the forced runs, because he's very good at it, man. He's got that great intangible, that instinct or whatever of knowing when to take off. We don't know yet what's going to happen between last Friday with all that happened with the offensive line and also Saturday. We don't know who's practicing. We don't know how many they're going to have available, and they feel like they're going to have enough to play the game. How much does what might happen with the offensive line on Saturday affect not Baylor's offense, that's obvious, but what they do on defense?
It's a good one. Honestly, just when I look at it from a matchup perspective, I think Baylor's going to stick with most of what they do defensively, because as much as Aranda is a guy that's known for bringing pressure, he always does it in a controlled manner. It's smart pressure. It's that smart one guy being added against the run, or that one extra guy rushing to give you 4, but it's coming from a creative spot. I don't think they're going to be too aggressive. I think they've got the linemen up front that can really control things against Kansas' offensive line. So I don't think it's going to control things too much from that standpoint. I think the biggest impact would be, if the offense is struggling, you might have to break out a few more interesting calls throughout the game than you otherwise would.
Paul, anything else?
Sam,
Craig?
Is there anything that's like just curiosity, say, because we've heard so much, but we've seen so little. So, is there something in particular that you're really eyeing that you've been curious about, maybe a particular player, a particular play design, anything along those lines?
Honestly, defensively, I want to see exactly how they're dividing up responsibilities, which of the coverages that Aranda and Roberts have used in the past, which one of those is favored. Because when you look at the history of those guys, there's a number of different fronts, there's a number of different coverages. Those guys are multiple in what they do, both up front and on the back end. So what ends up being the base with this group, and also what ends up being the base in case certain guys are out on defense, that's going to be the interesting thing, because Fedora has a general kind of skeleton you can at least expect a general idea of. But these guys are multiple, and it just makes it a lot easier to kind of predict what's going on once you actually see them, because they could be basing out of their tight tight front, 3 down, or they could be basing out of his peso package where it's 2 D linemen, 4 linebackers, and 5 DBs. You know, it could be either of those, and you compare either of those with any of his coverage packages. So that's what I'm going to be really looking at, just to kind of get a sense for how they want to play this in the Big 12, because the Big 12 is not the SEC or the Big 10, and it presents some unique challenges.
I had him on with us, and we'll play that again tomorrow on the show. We'll have it in the pregame as well with Aranda. And he discussed, you know, and I know this is stuff that this is like ribeye, bone-in ribeye stuff for you. I don't know if you're a meat eater or not, but whatever your favorite food is, when I asked him about the terms, the naming of positions, I'm not sure if you heard that, Sam, or not, but he just started going off in a good way. I mean, like he gets excited about the buck sweep and things that he and Robert said, different terminology. And so that they've had to kind of decide between what Roberts does, what Aranda does, which is somewhat similar, and then what Joey McGuire suggested based on the personnel. Is that kind of something we might see as a work in progress the first 3-4 games of the year?
I think that's very much going to be the case, because you look at what he's done with his linemen. A lot of what they've been asked to do is playing between a gap between the tackle or the guard if you're a defensive end, or just playing as a pure interior guy is what he asked for a lot of those guys to do. However, Roberts will ask them to play a little more outside a lot more often. And then last year, you only had 3 guys down, but your defensive ends, James Lynch and Lockhart, they were asked to play outside the tackle, but do so in a way as basically a heavy technique where you're technically playing outside of them, but depending on how they block you, you might have to slide inside. It really requires a different skill set than some of what they were doing out of the tight front and some other fronts they've provided. So blending the 3 of those, I could easily see them mix and match, ask one side of the line to do one thing, the other side to do something else. I could see them switch from different calls that both of them have made. These guys have been multiple, and it's unique compared to what Baylor was doing last year. So I definitely think you're going to see a little bit of a laboratory going on where they try different things and see how it goes.
Hope your preview of a game finally comes to fruition.
Fourth time's the charm, Sam. Yeah, Fourth time's the charm.
It's been yeoman's work. You've been amazing at it. I know you love it, and perhaps after this is over, you'll be able to kind of spit it out, chew it out a little bit more, and then start focusing in on what we hope will be a game 2 against West Virginia. Sam, as always, we appreciate it. How much and when do you normally start? You have a job. You have a normal, regular thing that you do. How much do you spend, and is it late night when the sun goes down and you become this X's and O's vampire?
Honestly, it's a lot of stuff that I get done in the off season for a good bulk of what I do, which cuts down on the work in season considerably.
Thanks for your time.
Particularly when you say when you see the same 9 teams every year, you have a pretty good idea of what a lot of them are going to do.
Yeah, you do, and you do a great job. Sam, thank you very much. Sam Bradshaw, S11 on the site, Sikkim365.com. Also on Twitter with all of what he does. He puts up these previews, like breaks down Kansas's roster, then maybe trends or things that they might do, and then starts to focus a little bit more on Baylor and what they're doing, and then gives a prediction. His prediction for this week is 37-23 Kansas. When we come back, we wrap it up. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, Armstrong Sims.
Just keep it here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're done with breaks.
We got a little bit of a sun difference today. It's been here before.
No, well, I think it's because we're higher up.
I just saw that on Paul's face.
Yeah,
it's been cloudy. It's been cloudy.
I know exactly where it's coming through. We put a few things up there. We got that. We'll take care of that as well. But that's part of the, again, it's like we're like the Baylor defense. We're trying to figure things out. Colt Barber's our defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Armstrong would be our player personnel director of football operations. And I don't know who the hell we would be. We surely would not be athletes, that's for sure. JaMychal Hasty, good news on him.
Yeah, he's scheduled to make his debut this week. Sorry, every time I turn around to look at you, the sun blinds me for a second. But he's going to make his debut this week. And according to the article that I read, the 49ers coaches are happy, very excited about that. They were happy with what he did against the 2s and 3s in training camp. Obviously, he's blocked on that depth chart going into the season with Raheem Mostert and Tevin Coleman. But 4.55 40, caught the ball in the backfield. They really like that he blocks, and we know that about him, that he'll stay in and block somebody. And the light really came on for him last year at Baylor, and it looks like it continues to do so. So hopefully we can see a little JaMychal Hasty this week.
He was one that grabbed on and embraced the Matt Rule coaching change. That doesn't mean he, didn't think it was going to be somebody else, but he absolutely listened to what the coaches were telling him, that he had here's a guy that's undersized, great speed, undersized, a lot of times get overlooked, wasn't drafted, but he learned about special teams. You could make an NFL roster doing that. You still have to be talented with a position, but he's on an NFL roster, and he makes his debut this weekend, which is fantastic. Good for him. What a great story out of Longview, and now Baylor, and now 49ers as well.
Yeah, I'm glad he's getting the opportunity. I mean, that's all you can really ask for. And, he's got to make the most of it now. He's definitely, a guy who I think at times ran into trouble dancing around a little bit too much in the backfield, trying to juke guys when he's not really a juke guy as a running back. I mean, he can be, but that's not his strong suit necessarily. And there was a lot of times where he ended up with a negative gain. Or it wouldn't be a game, but, negative yardage or a 1 or 2 yard game because he was just side to side and too much. In the NFL, you can't do that. So I'm sure that that's something that's been drilled into his head during this time. And, yeah, just a great opportunity for him. So very happy for JaMychal.
You alluded to something earlier today, Craig, about Colorado, and I didn't see this until now, that they've been asked to stop practices for at least 2 weeks. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because the county of Boulder, issued a prohibition on gatherings among university students between 18 and 22. Comes on the same day the Pac-12 CEO group, the governing body, makes up of chancellors and presidents, set to vote on a plan to start the football season sometime this fall. Wow. And you got to wonder if there's not going to be maybe a school that's in the ACC or maybe a school in the Big Ten or I don't know about the Big 12 or the SEC where they just can't play. They just can't play.
Why? I mean, it's
Houston's close to that. Heck, they're almost halfway through what should have been in their schedule.
The prohibition is on gatherings among university students between 18 and 22. What is that like? What if I'm 22 to 26? What does that matter? I mean, like these are one of the many COVID things. Like, and I guess that they're looking at evidence and says that this is like the super spreader group right now. We're trying to limit that, but again, nothing makes sense. Like when you ask like a second detail, a lot of these things, it doesn't make sense. I'm not saying not to socially distance and all that stuff, but can we have one rule that makes total sense in this?
Yeah,
No.
Because how many times have we seen in the last few weeks where we've seen reports or stats or things and that wasn't really true?
Oh, that happens constantly. Yeah. That happens from our own CDC. Like the CDC puts out stuff accidentally. So how in the world are average Joe's going to be able to get this down? But
and look, and I'm all for having fans back in stadiums, but you're telling me that you can have 20,000 people in a stadium, but you can't have 45 in a bar?
Yeah.
I mean, and I get that bars are a high-risk area because people get a little, knackered and they decide that, they're not going to be clean.
Knackered?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of British TV. So, but they get a little, a couple of pops in them and you stop washing your hands or you get close and you don't socially distance. But if you put restrictions on bars so they could open up with look, if your capacity is 200 people, well, you can have 45 people in here. They would all do it just to get the 45 people and run them in and out and try to do their best. But, then when you tell somebody that hey, you can't open, but there's going to be a place in your city that has 20,000 people in it, you're like, well, I mean, that's more than I could fit in 1,000 lifetimes.
How about you can't go to the funeral of your loved one, but Ruth Bader Ginsburg can have 1 billion people in a full turnout and all of that. And I'm not trying to downplay her whatsoever, but we've seen a lot of we say one thing that you guys can't do, but for us, it's a little bit different. We're going to have the full-blown funeral, and we're going to have full-blown honors. And we're going to, the George Floyd funeral. We're sitting here in the country with, don't go more than 5 people. Don't do this, don't do that. And then you see a funeral on TV, and there's 1,000 people there. It's just what are we supposed to believe? Yeah. You know what I mean? So hey, sorry, Miss Washington, your husband of 45 years just died recently. We can't have a funeral for him. But this government official, it's all good. It's different.
We've had a couple of those
different?
Too. Yeah,
it's not.
You're right.
And that's what people need to realize. We're doing all this infighting. The people that need to be pointed at are the ones that are causing all the infighting, and the ones at the very top who say one thing and then do a completely different thing.
Yeah,
that's the real enemy for all of us out there. But we all want to infight because they're playing us like puppets. Sorry, I'm fed up.
I agree with you. You know that. Hell, I've thought that from the beginning.
And people are just eating into it, man.
From the beginning.
Following right along.
All right. Tomorrow, we will have an interview with Robert Brewer. It's Charlie's father. And I'm telling you right now, we had this available last Friday, correct? And then the game with Houston got shut down, and so we ended up having so much to discuss. I recorded this last, Thursday or Friday. You need to hear him on many things. One, even his thoughts about how well this Baylor offense might start, his thoughts about Charlie, where did he get the chip on the shoulder, and then also some of the innuendos and accusations about his health. He goes straight at it with many different opinions about it, and kind of like a little an opportunity for him to vent a little bit. He played the game. His sons have played the game, and Charlie now the number one quarterback, the lead dog, and has been really I don't know if he's the face. He is the face. James Lynch was an All-American and everything, but he's been the face of Baylor football really since his freshman year when he took over a terrible team.
I'd say him and Terrell Bernard. Bernard more lately, not right away, but yeah, those two for sure.
So we'll be back at it again tomorrow. We'll be in studio tomorrow for the first time on a Friday. Conley has the off week. They start district play next week at home against Robinson.
And hopefully the last time on a Friday until the next bye week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, yeah, which would be like week 10 or 11 or whatever.
End of the season where they built it in, yeah.
No, that's a good point. Also tomorrow, Lee Sterling, as I mentioned, on odds in Vegas on some college games in the NFL. Drake Grayson will join us. Grunhafer, Sikkim365.com. Oh, we got a couple of other notes that we'll have. The Dave Aranda interview from earlier in the week, which last week we were going to run it on Friday. That got shut down because so did the game with Baylor, and also at the time it was Houston. So, all right, baseball playoffs start next week. NBA playoffs are trying to get to who's going to be in the finals. Right now, Denver's just going to try to maybe annoy the Lakers enough, huh?
Hey, it's Murray guy in Denver. I mean, Denver's good. Jokic and Murray, and they can give. I think the Lakers eventually win it, but they're going to have all they want. And the Heat are a really interesting story in that going into the postseason, into the playoffs, into the bubble. Who's the best player on the Heat that everybody knew? It's Jimmy Butler. If you were an NBA fan, you knew they had Tyler Hero, and you knew they had maybe Bam Adebayo. But other than that, could you name a player on the Heat, Smokey?
Yeah, Jimmy Butler.
I mean, other than Jimmy Butler.
No, Jimmy
exactly.
Butler, now, of course, Hero. By the way, from Diane on the text line, you go, Craig. Good rant. Agreed with every word.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, Diane. We appreciate it. She wasn't able to listen to the beginning of us because she was out in the middle of nowhere where she had when all this shutdown happened, and now she's able to pick us up on the app.
I'm glad
and
she's
internet as well.
Back to civilization.
Yes, back to normal. All right, thanks to our guests today. Let's start. Oh, my God. You got Kelly Stopper, Sam Bradshaw, Jennifer Smoke, Max Olson, Mickey
Hume.
Spagnola, Jeff Hume. Who else do we have?
You got them all.
Okay, I think I got them all. And, of course, Armstrong Sims. Thank you for Armstrong and all the work on the mothership. For Paul Catalina, for Craig Smoke, all of our incredible sponsors of what we have. Some of you have made notations about having the guest picture up on the side. When we have somebody, we'll try to continue to do that more and more. I'm David Smoke. Thank you for listening whenever you do, however long it might be. Back at it here at 3 tomorrow, and good night.